morning, guys. Former President Donald Trump will deliver remarks to the press at Mar-a-Lago this morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Then tonight, Trump is holding a rally in Allentown, Pennsylvania. The city has the second largest Latino population in the battleground state. The former president campaigned in battleground Georgia yesterday, sharing a hopeful message to voters.
I'm asking you to dream big again, and this will be America's new golden age. We're going to have a golden age, and hard to believe after the 4 years, almost 4 years of what we've gone through. It's hard to believe I could even say that. Some people would say, he's got to be crazy. No, we're going to have a golden age. It's going to happen fast.
Today, Vice President Kamala Harris will not be visiting a battleground state after campaigning in Michigan yesterday. Instead, she will deliver her campaign's closing arguments at the Ellipse in Washington, D.C. The vice president remaining optimistic even after recent polls show her losing momentum.
Do you feel like the race is slipping away?
I do not. And actually, and I agree with you. I think certainly polling is a measure, but to be frank, if I'd listened to polls, I would have never run for my first or second office. I wouldn't be here talking with you. And what I am seeing are in states such as South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, historic turnout. Historic turnout.
With just 1 week until Election Day, the United States is seeing historic early voter turnout across the country, with more than 46 million Americans having already cast their ballots. Today, Democrat vice presidential nominee Tim Walz and former First Lady Michelle Obama will both be campaigning on behalf of Harris in Georgia.
Whatever happened to predictability? The milkman, the paper boy, evening TV. Now, did I get delivered here? Somebody tell me, please. This whole world's confusing me. Kid, don't sell your dreams so soon. Everywhere you look, everywhere there's a heart, a hand to hold on to. Somebody who needs you everywhere you look. When you're lost out there and you're all alone, life is waiting to carry you home. Everywhere you look.
I love it! I love it! That's what Project 2025 is all about. This is the America we're going to create again. Ladies and gentlemen, we are live early this morning because Donald Trump has called an emergency press conference at his club in Mar-a-Lago. He has a live audience there for it, and we are going to be live for that press conference. Ladies and gentlemen, today is already a glorious day, Tuesday, October 29th, 2024. Donald Trump holds historic numbers in the polls above Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris is in a state of absolute catastrophic collapse and is getting very painful. We will cover it on the show today. Steve Bannon has been released from prison. Steve Bannon is out as of this morning. We have the photos. Steve Bannon will be live, I think, soon, and our team is monitoring that. Of course, we are friends of Steve, allies of Steve, and supporters of his, and will support him against the horrific lawfare that may be turning on us. Oh, yeah, baby. We were contacted by the New York Times last night. Oh, we've been so naughty on this program. It's so terrifying. What could the New York Times do to us? Oh, you wait till you see this, man. Wait till you see how desperate they are. And a reminder, these tactics wouldn't be necessary if they were winning, but they're losing. And so they're going to lash out like wounded, ravenous animals with their last gasps to try and harm or hurt us while they still assume that they have any power, but they have no power. They have no power. They're fake. It's not real. You flip on the light, they disappear. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to cover it all today in this glorious day, along with Kash Patel, who's going to join the show live. The great Kash Patel. Here we go. My name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. We will be traveling this week. I can preview for you, ladies and gentlemen. We may be doing a series of live speeches with Vivek. That's what's been cooking. We knew there'd be something cool that pops off at the end of at the end of this election cycle, and we think we're going to do a series of live speeches with Vivek. We will announce that as soon as we are able to, and we hope that you can join us. There'll be public speeches. And it'll be me, it'll be your boy, and it'll be Vivek, and we'll be out on the road. We're going to do everything we can to win, ladies and gentlemen. When we are on the road, Patriot Mobile is our phone of choice. We use our Patriot Mobile devices to stay connected with you. It lets us rip from anywhere. We were traveling obviously this weekend. We'll be traveling this week. Okay, we're going to do as much as we humanly can. This is Team No Sleep. I think that Eric might have slept at the studio last night. I don't know. I'm not sure. Eric's one of our excellent creators here at this company, a true artist. But I think he might have slept at the studio. We will not rest until this nation is delivered back to the people. And Patriot Mobile helps us get there by keeping us connected on the road. PatriotMobile.com/Benny. Call 972-PATRIOT to get a free month with the offer code Benny. PatriotMobile.com/Benny. Or call 972-PATRIOT for your free month today. The only Christian conservative wireless network. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, the great Steve Bannon is out. The great Steve Bannon is out of prison. Steve Bannon refused to comply with Nancy Pelosi's illegal subpoena. Steve Bannon worked at the White House as an ally of President Trump. Here's a glorious photo of Steve Bannon exiting federal prison this morning in the pre-sunlight hours of the morning. Steve Bannon there, I believe, Alex, correct me if I'm wrong, greeting his daughter Maureen Bannon. If I am correct here, I believe that is what is happening here. Nothing but blessings and joy for Steve Bannon and his family. Steve Bannon, there is the January 6th committee was total lawfare against people that were practicing their constitutionally protected rights to redress your government of grievances. Steve Bannon worked in President Trump's White House. They wanted to dig their claws into everything that Steve has and humiliate him, as they did so many others. I cannot wait for Kash Patel to come on and talk to us about this. Steve Bannon said, no, F you to the regime. We're saying the same thing this morning. We'll get to that maybe. Maybe we'll have a moment to get to that. I think, is there a photo of Steve Bannon preparing for his show? Ladies and gentlemen, the great Steve Bannon back in the war room. We love the war room. We've been guests on the war room. And we're thankful for this moment of bravery. This is a moment of extreme bravery in this nation. And the old tricks and the old tactics are no longer working. The stick and carrot, ooh, that's a good one. I believe this would be with his, perhaps with the war room staff. Yes, you can see Steve Bannon's daughter there, Raheem Kassam, some of the individuals that we see and know there in the shot. Steve Bannon is back out of federal prison. And can we zoom in on this? Looking good, man. Steve Bannon looking good. Looking great. And boys, I think we see activity here with President Trump at Mar-a-Lago. Let's head on over to the live shot of Mar-a-Lago, please. Mar-a-Lago, Donald Trump. We are live. Let's go ahead and watch. It looks like some of perhaps the president's staff moving in, or perhaps members of the press conference itself. Again, we are going to be watching like a hawk. We will miss nothing in this moment. They've turned on the televisions at Mar-a-Lago, and a large group of men, perhaps staff or Secret Service. I'm not exactly sure if that's Secret Service, but have just walked into the room. So this is live, ladies and gentlemen. They're at the famous Mar-a-Lago. Speaking of lawfare, the place that was, of course, raided by Joe Biden and his Gestapo and the feds. They kicked in Melania Trump's door. They raided Barron Trump's room, presumably to find what exactly? Well, I know what they were looking to find. They had a kill order on President Trump. This sounded insane to say this a couple of months ago, but we said it. We had multiple guests on that said, there was a order to use lethal force with the raid of President Trump's home. President Trump is protected, of course, by the Secret Service. So what were they trying to create exactly in this moment? Were they trying to create a blue-on-blue crime scene where the Secret Service says, we're here to protect Trump, you're not allowed to rush this man with guns, and then you create a situation that is exceedingly dangerous for the president? Was that what was going on? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not exactly certain, but I know this. They raided President Trump's Mar-a-Lago, which we are live with right here. This shot seems broken, boys. Let's go ahead and make sure that we have a nice clear shot. You can see how glitchy it is in the feed. If that's being picked up by our producers, let's make sure that we have a nice clear shot of this moment. This is a location of a crime. What happened to President Trump here when they raided President Trump's home? For what exactly? To find a document in a documents case that has now been thrown out of court? The first day of the RNC convention, it was summarily dismissed on its face, prima facie, by the judge, Eileen Cannon, saying that there is no standing and no grounds for the federal government to raid a former president who has plenary power to classify, declassify, because he was president of the United States. He was embodied the executive. And that the case is complete and total bullcrap. Do my best not to swear. It's hard to not be a little riled up in these moments, ladies and gentlemen. As Steve Bannon is victoriously out of prison today, you see what they are willing to do to us. You see what they are willing to do to our side. You see what they are willing to do to their fellow Americans. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to begin, as we await President Trump here at Mar-a-Lago, by saying they're trying to do it to us. Now, let me start by establishing something. The reason I do this show, and you're probably tired of hearing me say it, but I'll say it once more. The reason I do this show is for my children. There's no greater motivator in life for a man, a moral man, than his kids and his family. I do not want to be part of a cursed generation. A cursed generation that leaves the country in a worse place than whence I found it. And this country is a worse place than when I was born in 1986. That's when I was born. This country is inarguably and empirically a worse off country. We have allowed communist Marxists to separate us by race and class and to become a predominant force in American politics. I won't allow it. It's antithetical to Christianity, to the laws of man and the order set about by God and the establishment of this country itself. So I won't allow my kids, and I'll fight with everything in me for every day of my life to preserve it for my children. I have 3 children, and I have another one on the way. This is, by the way, how we win the culture war. Quite frankly, it's never been easier. Just have a million kids. The left, of course, isn't procreating. The left is worshiping wholesale slaughter of babies and children. That is the altar upon which they worship. And so, and they also mutilate themselves and behave in grotesque manners that do not facilitate human reproduction. And so it's never actually been easier to win the culture war. So my wife and I are putting to practice our winning of the culture war, and this is part of it. And this is what I do professionally. So this is also part of it. And so we will fight, ladies and gentlemen. However, because we fight against a regime that is losing and that is desperate, they will employ tactics, as all fascistic regimes do, to silence their opposition. This goes back a very long way. The silencing of opposing voices to tyranny is actually the inception point of this nation. Our founders were banned from political cartoons. We consider this program to be in its own way a political cartoon. In a sense, the sacred right of ridiculing the powerful is what keeps us a free society. I can say whatever I want about Joe Biden, whatever within, I guess whatever within reason. I mean, you could be like more profane or actively insulted, but you could just say the truth and what we believe about Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, and we're not going to go to jail for it. Yet Steve Bannon was just released from prison this morning. So is that actually true? King George banned political cartoons of him because the founders, many of the founders of this nation, were also into publishing. They did their own, they did in the late 1700s, they did their version of a channel, of an opinion channel. Benjamin Franklin was a famous publisher along with Thomas Jefferson. Many of the founders had publications or were involved in the business of print, which was the channels at the time. And they would print hysterical political cartoons of King George in pamphlets. These are the original memes. King George banned that practice because it made fun of him. So that is the nature of the tyrant, of course, is to ban your critics. Fast forward to today, where there's no shortage of active campaigns to deplatform our show. Deplatform, of course, Tucker Carlson. You might argue that they were successful in that. Even yesterday, they deplatformed Joe Rogan. Oh, yeah. This is something that we want to give the benefit of the doubt to YouTube. But let me explain. Joe Rogan had a podcast. It was an interesting moment yesterday on the show. I said, Killer Klein, find the Joe Rogan podcast with Trump. And I watched him furiously searching and not being able to find it. So what the hell's going on? Why can't Killer Klein, he's a smart guy. Why can't Killer Klein, he runs the show with me. He's like really smart, very quick, very, very fast, Great to have in studio with me. Very fast, quick as a whip. He's a jujitsu expert, okay? So he's a fast dude. Got them hands, as they say. Killer Klein couldn't find the single most popular podcast in the history of podcasts on the world's largest search engine, which is YouTube. Why? Well, it turns out that nobody could. That it had been actively shadow banned on YouTube. And I'm under no suspicion that we are even remotely as powerful as Joe Rogan. And Joe Rogan has, hundreds of millions of listeners. If you add up all of his listeners across all platforms, he has tens of millions on YouTube alone, on Spotify, and his interview with Trump had been seen by 33 million people at time of publishing. You can put this up, please. Joe Rogan recognized this. And by the way, I'm just letting you know, we have the world's best production staff, of course, online and locked in. President Trump announced that he would be doing a live emergency press conference at 10 a.m. We have the shot up. You're not going to miss anything on this program. We are going to cut right to President Trump as soon as he enters that room and begins speaking. So, but I want to lay the groundwork for what we are facing currently in the end of this election and how existential it is to us. Just yesterday, Joe Rogan was censored. Now, let me explain the official explanation from YouTube, but how it happened, okay? Joe Rogan's podcast with President Trump was effectively unable to be found on YouTube yesterday. You couldn't search for it. You couldn't find it. And I physically watched Killer Klein try and pull it up during the show, and he couldn't. Well, what the hell is that about? 34 million views on this podcast makes it one of the most, arguably the most successful interview in the history of YouTube. So why weren't you able to find it? Libs had apparently centrally organized a plot to mass report Joe Rogan as spam. Joe Rogan does a 3-hour sit down with the most powerful man in the world, Joe Rogan himself being the most powerful media voice in the world. That 3-hour sit down is being seen by millions of people per hour, on average of 1 million views an hour. And so it is the most popular podcast in the world. And the left has decided to organize a bot army as far as I can understand here, and we work in this ecosystem, so this does make sense, to report this as spam. And if it's reported as spam with high enough velocity, then YouTube takes, like, deplatforms the video. And so they worked through YouTube's own algorithm to deplatform Joe Rogan. This happened yesterday. This is what they were able to do. The most powerful media voice in the world. There's no other media voice on planet Earth that has a larger following than Rogan. And the most powerful. So if they can do it to Rogan and Trump, imagine what they can do to us. Well, we don't have to imagine anymore. We actually found out this morning. In a not yet totally completed thread on X, I elucidated for our audience right before the show went live what is happening to our program right now. Last night I was contacted by the New York Times. The New York Times is writing a hit piece on me and, of course, on you. What are our sins? What hath we done? Nothing. Not, of course, that I'm scared at in the least of this, but I'm curious. What has drawn the ire of the world's most trusted name in news? Oh, well, let's go ahead and look. I'm reading to you directly from the email sent to me by the New York Times. A New York Times reporter named Nico Grant, who is a former MSNBC intern, turned New York Times reporter. See how that works? See the pipeline there? Here's what our sins are. Mr. Johnson said that Trump's legal problems are a result of election interference by Democrats. So President Trump, who is facing hundreds of years in prison for bookkeeping records or for holding documents that is his right under the Constitution, or for saying march peacefully and patriotically to the U.S. Capitol under his constitutionally protected free speech. Us noting that that's never happened to another president, even though many other presidents, including Joe Biden, have kept and profited off of classified information. Joe Biden wrote a book and made millions of dollars off of classified information that he illegally smuggled out of the Senate. Us saying that they are treating Trump differently and that that's election interference, the writers at the New York Times are crying and sobbing into their lattes as they listen to us say that. What else? What else have we done? Oh, let's go through these grievances, because these are, this is really something, boys. Can't believe I let myself go here. Wow. Mr. Johnson argued without sufficient evidence that Democrats have not closed the border. Hear that? Do you hear that, boys? I don't have sufficient evidence that Democrats have not closed the border. The New York Times' position is to state that even though I can provide for you empirical and demonstrable evidence of the wholesale American carnage and slaughter of Kamala's open border policies, I mean, what's the body count up to now? How many Americans have been murdered in cold blood? And worse, by the way, worse. Crimes I can't even elucidate on this program for fear of it being taken down by criminal monsters that have walked into our country, in fact, been welcomed into our country and been funded by Kamala Harris and the government. You know, they pay. When these criminal aliens come here, they pay them. They pay for housing. They get EBT. They get food stamps. They get Social Security. You get all of these goodies. How do you think it's hard enough for the American public to live? How do you think a criminal alien that doesn't even speak our language and has no skilled labor and no capacity to work, like, how do you think they live? They're here illegally. How do you think they survive? Like, the federal government subsidizes them. This has all been reported. This has all been factually backed up by a preponderance of evidence that is overwhelming. Yet the New York Times is coming after my program because I dared say that Democrats opened the border. I can show you footage of illegal criminal alien mobs fighting soldiers at the border and winning, American soldiers, and winning as they wade into our country, as they storm our country. Yet the New York Times is saying that we push disinformation because we have not sufficient evidence. There's not enough sufficient evidence. What sufficient evidence is there exactly? Shall we take the reporters at the New York Times and put them, literally stand them up on the border and hold open their eyeballs so that they must see it for themselves? It's like a bird box, like the bird box meme. In what universe do you actually flip this story, this piece that the New York Times is writing about me? And not just me, they're writing it about Ben Shapiro, Tucker Carlson, Tim Pool, Mike Davis, allies of our program, every conservative. Oh, and it gets so much worse. It gets so much worse. Let's continue. Benny Johnson claimed falsely that 2020 was rigged. It was rigged, actually. Oh, it was. How did they rig it? Well, I mean, where do I even start? Do we have the next 7 hours that I can go through this? Let's just right off the top of my head. Hey, New York Times, how did you report the Hunter Biden laptop story? Did you call it Russian disinformation? That's rigging. That's a real story. Did you support the 51 Intel experts that said the Hunter Biden's laptop has all the hallmarks of Russian disinformation? That's rigging an election. The American public deserve to know that true information. Did you send Nico Grant to go hunt down the Hunter Biden laptop story? Do you know that the FBI used Hunter Biden's laptop in a court of law as physical evidence against Hunter Biden because of its veracity and because of its realness? Ladies and gentlemen, the New York Times is saying that I purvey disinformation because I said that Democrats did not properly nominate Kamala Harris. Oh yeah, that's considered misinformation by the New York Times. So a woman who received 0 votes, went through 0 primaries, has done 0 interviews, has 0 authentic support, did in fact throw into the garbage 15 million Democrat votes, which I assume are lawful for Joe Biden, naming Joe Biden their Democrat nominee for 2024. That woman, who the Democrat Party admits was anointed in a backroom backstabbing deal by Nancy Pelosi and Barack Obama, who actively facilitated, this has been printed actually in the New York Times. The New York Times was the rag of record to actually print these salacious stories that they were planning on Joe Biden. The New York Times was a useful organ in manipulating and pressuring Joe Biden to drop out. The New York Times is actually complicit in the rigging of the Democrat primary against Joe Biden. Yet they have the bloody cheek to come after me and my team and this company. And how are they doing it? You're not going to believe this. They're using data, I'm reading to you directly from my email, data compiled by researchers at Media Matters to do it. Media Matters is a far left-wing hate group created and funded exclusively by Clintonites, David Brock, for the sole purpose of deplatforming conservative media. It gets worse. Media Matters has been exposed as frauds. Please, ALX, put up the article of Elon Musk's lawsuit against Media Matters. Media Matters, in their reporting, engaged in algorithmic manipulation or some level of actual criminal fraud. Elon Musk has sued Media Matters for maliciously fabricating their reporting and has won in court. Here we go. Elon Musk's ex can proceed with trial in case against Media Matters after judge denies dismissal request. What happened? The platform appeared to have manipulated or straight up fabricated reporting about Elon Musk's free speech platform X, which we love, know, and love, and care very, very dearly about. Media Matters is a fraudulent hate group, thoroughly discredited, founded exclusively by left-wing censorious activists to attack free speech at its core, which is what? Free speech at its very core is this, and it's very important to remember, and it's something that I have to remind myself constantly. It's why we do Salt That Lib on this show. It's why we do Salt That Lib, okay? Salt That Lib is, in essence, me playing for you an opinion that you're not going to like. It's a constant. If you're new to the show, this is something constantly that we do. Once again, we are monitoring the President Trump's feed. We will go to Donald Trump's press conference as soon as President Trump takes the dais. He has not as of yet. The very bedrock of free speech is that those who say things that you disagree with, those who say things that may even be false, that they can say them, that they're allowed to say them. We didn't say anything false. In fact, it is Media Matters and the New York Times who are preparing to say false things about me, about Tucker, about Ben Shapiro, Tim Pool, and others. Here's the difference. While I can read to you the news and present to you the news and do so every single day, and we do so in the most rigorous and entertaining way possible, I certainly have my opinions. We always back up everything that we say with stories, evidence, everything. Some of the things that we talk about are empirical. The DNC did rig their nominating process to give you Kamala Harris without a single vote. That's true. Cry about it, bitches. That's true. The border is open. Cry about it. These are true things. We'll say them. We'll continue to say them. What they are not entitled to is defamation. What you are not entitled to is attacking your competition. And that is precisely what this is. Make no mistake. America's most trusted newspaper is 1 week before the election. 1 week, 6 days to the election, planning a massive hit piece on the largest Trump-supporting voices, free speech voices, conservative voices in the movement to try and deplatform us. This is their Hunter Biden 2024 laptop story. This is their attack on the truth. This is the most grotesque form of censorship I've ever seen. They are openly attacking what is true. Klein, please put up the Twitter thread. They are attacking what is real and true and factual. Straight out of George Orwell. But they didn't plan on something. There's one thing they didn't plan on. They didn't plan on the fact that we don't give an F. They didn't plan on the reality, and reality is a brutal mistress. Reality remains undefeated. That their audience is decaying and atomizing, and our audience is growing exponentially. That we are the media. That more people listen to us in a single day than all of the corporately funded, publicly traded, hundreds of billions of dollars valuation New York Times. And they can't stand that. It enrages them because their power comes from being a gatekeeper. Their power comes from being able to shut down voices like mine, or being able to call you names for believing that 2020 was rigged, or that this lawfare against Donald Trump without evidence. Oh, Democrats have an open border. Benny said that without evidence. These people are demons. And you know what you do when you are an agent of salt and light, as we are on this program, is you fight evil and you fight the forces of darkness. And so view this, New York Times, as the one and only time you will be warned by me. Here's your warning. We have very scary attorneys who are dogs, vicious dogs, who have been waiting for a moment such as this. Because there needs to be a proper shot across the bow to this level of slander. I watched them lock up Steve Bannon. I watched them try and destroy Tucker Carlson. I've watched them run deplatform operations against Elon Musk. They've tried to bankrupt Elon. Good luck with that. They've come after my friends and my executive producer, my brother, ALX, was deplatformed by the old regime at Twitter for the express reason, and we now know this, because it was too good. ALX was too good at tweeting, and so they ripped him offline. He was too effective. So they tried to destroy this young man's career, much as they would like to destroy this audience. I won't stand for it. I won't. We have some resources at this program. If the New York Times, and we know some very, very scary people in the legal profession, if the New York Times dares defame our constitutionally protected right to free speech, opinion, and thought as offensive as the New York Times may find it, you will see us in court. The days of cowering in the corner, wetting our pants, and crying to mommy because the New York Times wrote something we didn't like. Because, oh, the big bad New York Times. Oh, they're coming after us. Oh, it's so dangerous. Oh, they're so scary. They're the New York Times. Those days are over. We will not suffer it. And we don't have to suffer it. Because unlike the New York Times, our audience is real and growing. And provide what we do every single day they could never conceive of. Providing a valuable access point for independent thought and journalism, which is what we do. And we will defend it to the last. And so view this as a warning, New York Times. Here's my official response for your story. Please include it. And this may be the most costly article you ever write. So tread lightly. Because you're not dealing with your daddy's Republican Party. You are not dealing with a bunch of Mitt Romney, John McCain, Mitch McConnell, cowering bitches who will sit in the corner and cry because you wrote something mean about them. You are dealing with brawlers, bare knuckle brawlers, who actually had to build something and make something. And you are not going to be allowed to slander us, slander my audience, this movement, this channel, the incredible creatives that work for me and bust their asses to do more work in a single night than the New York Times writers do all year. And their pretentious, preening, morally unscrupulous, virtue signaling positions at that sick, rotting, diseased, decaying, sinking organ. Once America's most trusted newspaper. Not today. Not anymore. The game has changed. And so consider this a real threat. I've already spoken at length with my attorney about it. And you'll be receiving a letter from us actually quite soon. So, Nico, there's your response. Hope you include it. And have a great day. Me waving out of my McDonald's window. This is me waving out the McDonald's window. Have a great day, New York Times. That's what we think about you. Yeah. Boys, the game has changed. And we're here for it. We say it often on the program. We fight for you. Thank you for fighting with us. We show up for you. Thank you for showing up for us. No, no, no. We shall not go quietly into the night. No, no. In fact, this may be the worst day and the most expensive article the New York Times ever publishes. So tread lightly. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that feels nice to get that off our chest. I did want to give, I don't want to belabor the point here, but I do want to show you what Tucker Carlson posted about this. Oh, this is great. Tucker Carlson posted, was, reached out to by the same reporter for the same piece. Let's read his response here, please. So Tucker Carlson, Klein, I'm going to need to read the response, buddy. I don't actually have it in front of me. ALX, would you mind sending it to me so I can read it? Here we go. All right. As Klein's loading it up. So the New York Times is working with a left-wing hate group to silence critics of the Democrat Party. Please ask yourself, I'm going to do this in my best Tucker impression. So the New York Times is working with a left-wing hate group to silence critics of the Democrat Party. Please ask yourself, why are you participating in it? Is this why you got into journalism? It's shameful. I hope you're filled with guilt and self-loathing for sending me a text like this. Please quote me. Thank you for your prompt response, says the New York Times reporter activist. Working for the DNC and working with Media Matters. Would you like to address any of the points or questions above? Would I like to participate in your attempt to censor me? No, thanks. But I do hope that you'll quote what I wrote above. And also note that I told you to fuck off, which I am doing now. Thanks. This is Tucker's response, ladies and gentlemen, to this. This has been seen by 5.7 million people, 28,000 reposts, 153,000 likes. So that's gone quite viral. Mike Davis here saying, Dear Nico Grant, by the way, this coward has protected his tweets and has deleted his Instagram. I want to put up, let's make sure that we put this up, please, where we can show, I want to show you exactly what the face of cowardice looks like in this profession. What it looks like to be a little bag boy for Media Matters. Dear Nico Grant, are you the T-boy for Google, Media Matters, or for Kamala Harris? All three? Here's the evidence that Biden is behind the unprecedented indictments of Trump. Also, go F yourself, says Mike Davis. And I apologize for the cursing. I really do. We try not to curse, but I am quoting people that I think deserve to be quoted, like Mike Davis and Tucker Carlson. Mike Davis then threads all of the bogus indictments against Donald Trump and talks about how politically, utterly unprecedented they all are. Biden has in his hands all 4 bogus indictments against his top political enemy. Biden, through his deputy, White House counsel, Jonathan Sue, waived Trump's claims of executive privilege. This led to unprecedented home raid on Trump and Jack Smith's appointment and 2 bogus indictments against Trump. Matthew Colangelo got sent to Biden's DOJ No. 3 office in Soros-funded Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg's office to bring the first bogus indictment against Trump. Nathan Wade, Fulton County DA special prosecutor and secret boyfriend, had Georgia taxpayers pay for 2 meetings with Joe Biden's White House counsel before Fani Willis brought her bogus indictment against Trump. House Judiciary Chairman Jim Jordan must haul them all in to testify. Yeah. This is exactly why we have Mike Davis on the program, to elucidate for us these kind of moments. We continue. Ben Shapiro has a relatively viral response to this as well, also seen by 5.7 million people. Ben Shapiro posting last night at 8:40 p.m. If you're wondering why the legacy media would plan its October surprise, wonder no longer. Here it is. Today I received the following text from a reporter at the New York Times. It's the same thing that I got, effectively. Look at what they accused Shapiro of doing. Media Matters researchers identified videos where you said election misinformation. We feature a clip of you saying your party rigged many of the voting rules in advance of the election in order to ensure extraordinary number of mail-in ballot harvesting. And then they go on to try and take away Ben Shapiro's business, because this is what this is all about, deplatforming. They want YouTube, they want the organs that are platforming actual, true, and free speech to begin to spread lies instead. Not just to censor, but to actually spread lies. Understand the ask here. The ask here is not you're not allowed to say something true. It is that you must affirm a lie. Not only is that immoral, you are within the dangers of hellfire for that. This is about the question of your mortal soul. Do not affirm lies. Never on this program have we ever affirmed a lie. We will not. Our moral conscience, our core beliefs dictate we mustn't. Thou shalt not lie. You must affirm a lie. The New York Times is attacking this program because we said that Democrats have created an open border. The purpose of this is for us to then tell you there isn't an open border, but there is an open border. So we would have to affirm a lie. That is immoral. It is grotesque. And it is something we will never, ever do. It's something that happens to political prisoners in re-education camps under dictatorships. This is what the New York Times is engaging in. They're as bad as any Soviet gulag, affirming a lie under threat of torture or active torture. This is what the New York Times is asking us to do. No, they won't. We won't. We refuse, actually. What are you going to do about it? What precisely is the New York Times doing, writes Ben Shapiro? It's perfectly obvious, using research from Media Matters, a radical left-wing organization whose sole purpose is destroying conservative media, see below, in order to pressure YouTube to demonetize and penalize any and all conservatives 1 week from the election. That's the entire game here. Run an article in America's most trusted newspaper and declare pretty much every major conservative a purveyor of misinformation on YouTube, thus strong-arming YouTube into taking action against conservatives. This isn't about election misinformation, obviously. As pretty much everybody knows, I've always acknowledged that Joe Biden won the 2020 election. And if it is election misinformation, to point out that rigging of the voting rules in the 2020 election resulted in massive mail-in voting and ballot harvesting. The New York Times might want to talk to, I don't know, New York Times or CBS for starters. Oh, and by the way, if somebody does think Joe Biden didn't win the election, that's protected free speech. And also, if you want to get, if you actually want to get into it, it's also protected in the YouTube content policies. You are allowed to talk about election fraud. In fact, we talk about election fraud quite regularly on this program when there are federal indictments for election fraud, which happen on a near daily basis. There are too many to count, but might as well probably have some on the hand, because there are people who are regularly and with great people who have great prominence, like community leaders, regularly indicted in the states like New Jersey, Connecticut, Arizona, Ohio just indicted 8 people for election fraud. Like, these are swing states. These are people being indicted for election fraud. Seconds ago in Luzerne County in Pennsylvania, they just caught 2,500 illegal voter registrations that were dumped in. Yeah, there's election fraud. Yes, people go to prison for election fraud. Yes, it happens. It actually happens with great regularity. Here, ladies and gentlemen, very briefly, is the election fraud cases database from the Heritage Foundation that has, to the name and letter, every case of election fraud that was proven and found guilty, and where somebody is facing stiff criminal penalties, up to and including prison times. Cry more. But that's the point, writes Shapiro. You don't have to purvey misinformation to be the target. You just have to support Trump. This is totally scandalous. In 2020, the legacy media shut down dissemination of the Hunter Biden laptop story and laundered the claim that it was all Russian disinformation, all to get Joe Biden elected. In 2024, they're even more brazen. They're now openly trying to intimidate YouTube, one of the most dominant news platforms in America, into shutting down anybody who isn't pro-Kamala. Well. Again, understand that misinformation from these supposed guardians of free speech and American liberty to silence the opposition a week before the 2020 election. They can't get away with it, and they won't. Even if you ever doubted that the New York Times is part of the Democrat-run media human centipede, see below. Doubt no longer. And he includes screenshots of the New York Times sucking the toes of Kamala Harris, utterly slandering and defaming Donald Trump, his team, Mar-a-Lago, which of course we will be going to live when President Trump speaks and has his press conference. Again, it was stated for 10 a.m. So that's why we're live a little early this morning. Look at this. Look at these headlines. So to the New York Times, they want comment. Here's my comment. Kindly go F yourself, says Ben Shapiro. So this is what we are facing now currently. Now, apparently there are even further posts from people like Seth Dillon. The New York Times has reached out to the Babylon Bee for a comment on our election misinformation. So they're going after Babylon Bee. They spent all day yesterday attacking a comedian named Tony Hinchcliffe, who's one of Joe Rogan's best friends, who's a partner in Joe Rogan's comedy club. Joe Rogan, of course, got his start as a stand-up comedian. They attacked this famous stand-up comedian for telling a joke. Now they're going after the Babylon Bee for telling jokes. Don't know. Here we go. Replied, the New York Times is a danger to our democracy, says Elon Musk. There you go. This is what, let's read what they've caught the Babylon Bee doing. Oh, shall we? You shared a video titled Official Gavin Newsom Election Ad that was not, in fact, an official election ad. Are you aware that Gavin Newsom doesn't like it when people joke about him and made such jokes unlawful? Oh, is this a joke itself? Ah, yes, okay. This is, okay, got it. Got me, Seth. So this is Seth Dillon joking about the joke. Got it, okay. Another video on your channels titled Satan Asks Democrats to Tone Down All the Evil. This video has 2.3 million views. Do you have documentation to support your claim that Satan is in direct communication with Democrats? Perfect. In your view, is it funny when voters are misinformed? Is democracy a joke to you? How do you sleep at night? Please reply promptly so we can coordinate with YouTube to censor you and the other notable critics of Democrats before the election. Thank you for your time. Yeah. Got it. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, Elon Musk has been responding to these. the New York Times is a threat to our democracy. Elon Musk is responding to ALX, our executive producer here, who, of course, himself, aforementioned, was one of the earliest. Actually, you could call the canary in the coal mine. ALX was deplatformed by the old regime at Twitter, and they tried to destroy his life and destroy his career. Why? Because he was too good at truth. That was the crime. The crime was ALX spaketh the truth. New York Times is launching a hit piece against 30 prominent conservatives, including Tucker Benny-Pool, Ben Shapiro, and others in an attempt to deplatform them on YouTube ahead of the election based on so-called research by the fraudulent Media Matters organization. That is in an active lawsuit that are losing a lawsuit against, well, brought by Elon Musk's ex for fake and malicious reporting. So this is what we face. And I, for one, say thanks. Thank you so bad. So thank you. Thank you so much. What you've done by doing this is establish actually that we are the real media, that we are the ones with real followings. You've shown us how scared you are of us. And also, it's going to backfire. Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Bannon has just spoken for the first time on his war room since going to federal prison. ALX, how long was that prison sentence? Steve Bannon has been in jail for months. I want to get the exact number. Steve Bannon is now responding for the first time since the regime threw him in jail for 4 months. Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Bannon is back. Here we go. Steve Bannon, his first moments. Let's do the minute-long clip here, Klein, please. Okay. His first moments back. And then once again, we are awaiting President Trump. There seems to be some type of potential movement at Mar-a-Lago. We will not miss a second of President Trump's press conference at Mar-a-Lago. But ladies and gentlemen, at present moment, President Trump is not speaking. It is still an empty podium. And I think this is a historic moment with Steve Bannon. You got to see it. Here we go.
The rhetoric that's come out about American citizens calling this audience, not just Donald Trump and not the people around Donald Trump, that's bad enough. Calling us fascists, but calling you fascists. Saying that fantastic, that amazing rally in Madison Square Garden that could never be pulled off by Kamala Harris or the Democrats with that energy and people from Tulsi Gabbard to Elon Musk, just the broad cross-section you had of American entrepreneurs, Vivek Ramaswamy, you had these powerhouses up there, right? And they're trying to besmirch that with one influencer's kind of throwaway, not funny line. I can tell you, in coming from and being a political prisoner in a federal prison, that the young men in this country that are African American and Hispanic detest Kamala Harris. They detest her. We're going to go into details today and at the press conference of why that's up. But we have a chance to move past race on November 5th. Everything we have fought for so many years.
Steve Bannon is an ally of our program. We love Steve. He's been on the show multiple times. We've been on his show multiple times. And I'm sure he's getting requests from everybody. But please, as soon as possible, guys, reach out and see if we can't get Steve live for our program this election week. We know that it's going to be very busy. But it would be great to get Steve live just to chat with us. This is a moment. If you don't feel the spiritual energy, you're not tapped in. You're not tuned in. There's spiritual energy right now. The forces of good are winning. The forces of evil are cowering and in fear. the nature of Satan is to lie, kill, and destroy? Steal, kill, destroy. What does that sound like? What is happening right now? They tried to kill our president. They've tried to steal away your nation. And when they can't steal it, they'll destroy it. And they're losing. And so then they'll come after anyone who's fighting against them, like us. And this is why we put on the full armor of God every single day before coming into work. This is who and why we fight. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to show you this shot here of Mar-a-Lago. Again, President Trump's press conference was set for 10. We are glad, quite frankly, that it's taken a short delay because it gave us an opportunity to really talk about what's going on this morning. But we are, again, awaiting the president. There is so much going on at this current hour. So much of it good. So much of it positive for our movement. And, well, quite frankly, we haven't had the ability to say that up until and as of late. We've had the opportunity to watch Mar-a-Lago get raided, watch President Trump get dragged into courtroom after courtroom, slandered, maligned, defamed, charged. And now, ladies and gentlemen, victory is within our grasp. Let's go ahead and move to the polls here for a little bit. Talk through where the polls are right now with the confirmation, of course, from our team that we will not miss a minute of President Trump's press conference today, which we love because Donald Trump actually does take questions from the press, unlike Kamala Harris. Man, Kamala Harris had a cringe moment last night. Let's make sure we get that loaded, by the way, boys. Kamala Harris had a rally last night doing a call and repeat. What I have said, like it's you're lucky that we can even be here this morning because last night I died of secondhand embarrassment. Watching this clip, Kamala Harris is a collapse. It's a collapse unlike anything I've ever seen. I mean, let's go ahead and let's go ahead and pop that clip up since we're talking about it, and then we'll go straight to the polls. I want to show you what Democrats have done. The New York Times is writing a hit piece right now because I said that Democrats rigged their election against Kamala Harris. They rigged their election against Kamala Harris to get somebody who was not vetted, that nobody voted for, up and into office. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what Kamala Harris has delivered on the campaign trail for all of her fans. Now, Kamala Harris has no actual fans. Nobody actually likes Kamala Harris. People just hate Trump. All right? So that's what this election is really about. How many people are willing to send the country over a cliff, like into the abyss of communism, out of their hatred for Orange Man? Or how many patriots actually still love this place? That's the question. That's the question at hand. And there's always been dirty Marxists. There's always been people who vote for Jimmy Carter, right? Like there's always been those people. But the question is the fight against that system versus a system of liberty and freedom and the American way. And so this is what Kamala Harris supporters are treated to when Kamala Harris goes and campaigns. Here you go.
Okay, now I want each of you to shout your own name. Do that. Because it's about all of us. It's about all of us. And listen, I have fought my whole career to put the people first.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we again await President Trump, and yeah, just a second. I'm working with the production team here. We have a series of cringe clips from Kamala Harris that we are going to play right now. to show you exactly how well things are going for Kamala as we await President Trump's live remarks. Here we go.
Weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. The path may seem hard, the work may seem heavy, but joy cometh in the morning, and church morning is on its way.
So, part of what we have to help people understand is don't think you're in Donald Trump's club. You're not.
Right.
He's not going to be thinking about you. You think he's having you over for dinner?
Klein. All right. Okay. All right. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. This is we had a slight glitch here in the studio. Again, as we rock and roll here, the embarrassment continues. Kamala Harris tried to touch something in a factory yesterday. This was really a special moment. Here we go.
Here is actually a harvested U-Rod where we actually do grow it. So this is what it looks like when it comes out of our process of that. Do not touch it.
Do not.
Yes.
I'm glad I
So please do not touch any of the
And I will touch
very
it.
sharp.
Very sharp.
Yes,
Okay.
very sharp.
Okay, and shiny.
So with that being said.
Okay. Don't touch it. Don't touch. And Kamala Harris asked if she is going to have a cognitive test. The response kind of tells you everything here, doesn't it? Go.
Donald Trump was on Joe Rogan, and he called you, Madam Vice President, a very low IQ person and said, I think she needs to take a cognitive test. I think Kamala should have a test because there's something missing, there's something wrong with her. Would you take a cognitive test?
Sure.
Kamala Harris is going to take Donald Trump says that you're dumb. Donald Trump says you're dumb. Will you take a cognitive test? Kamala Harris sits there. Please load that as a play beside. We have to dissect that clip. As a play beside. Kamala Harris sits there and goes, that's it. That's what she does. That's what she did. It was like, who knows how long that she sat there in silence. They probably cut it. They probably cut the clip. But here we go. Here's Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris. Donald Trump says you're really stupid. Will you take a test to prove that you're not really stupid? And Kamala goes, go.
Donald Trump was on Joe Rogan, and he called you, Madam Vice President, a very low IQ person and said, I think she needs to take a cognitive test. I think Kamala should have a test because there's something missing, there's something wrong with her. Would you take a cognitive test?
Sure.
Guys, it's a mess. This is a nightmare. This is a disaster, okay? This is a disaster. Apparently Kamala Harris has brand new accents that she's rolling out. We have the accent switch Kamala, one of our favorite things. Is this the Club Shay clip? Play this. Is this play beside? Play this one more time. I just want to show you guys the Kamala's brand new accent. Again, we have a planned video that we plan on doing on Kamala's accent. I'll tell you what it is. I want to go to Kamala's neighborhood in Montreal, and I want to see if I can find Kamala Harris's accent, because this is where Kamala grew up, right? So where Kamala grew up is in the leafy, rich suburbs of Montreal with her rich-ass parents who were tenured professors and PhDs. And so where does this accent come from? It's such a great question. Is this in the leafy French suburbs of Montblanc, Montreal, where Kamala was raised, where she went to school? Can you find this accent?
So, part of what we have to help people understand is don't think you're in Donald Trump's club. You're not.
Right.
He's not going to be thinking about you. You think he's having you over for dinner?
Interestingly, yes, Donald Trump has had me for dinner. I ate McDonald's with Donald Trump. ALX had dinner with Donald Trump. It lasted hours at Mar-a-Lago. There's a photo to prove it. Donald Trump's had our show over for dinner, actually. The answer is yes. Hopefully the New York Times can write a fact check on her. Hopefully the New York Times can talk about her and this disinformation. ALX had a fancy dinner with Donald Trump. I had McDonald's with Trump. I got to tell you, I think I got the best end of that deal, ALX. I ate McDonald's with Trump on his plane. It was like 2 years ago. So awesome. So yeah, Donald Trump did have me over for dinners. I don't know who's Kamala Harris talking to there exactly. And what exactly is Kamala Harris like talking about? There's a lot of people who have dinner with Donald Trump, like a crazy number. So yeah, that don't make no sense. Ladies and gentlemen, the polls do make sense. The polls are crushing for Kamala Harris. She's now being asked, like, are you actively trying to lose this election? Something that's regularly being asked of Kamala Harris. Trump's winning the popular vote, yo. Trump's winning the popular vote. Here it is. In the Real Clear Politics average, Donald Trump's up in the popular vote. Are you insane? Do you understand how historically unprecedented this is? There are reports out this morning that James Carville is announcing that has had an emergency meeting with Kamala Harris saying that you are about to lose in a landslide, the likes of which we haven't seen in modern American politics. You may lose states like Minnesota, Virginia, and New Hampshire. Donald Trump has destroyed the Bush dynasty, the Cheney dynasty, the Biden dynasty, and is on his way to destroying the Obama dynasty, which is what this is all about. We've been very clear about this. We, in fact, last week told you that Kamala Harris would be leaving the campaign trail at the orders of Obama. We got that story first, and lo and behold, while we were live during the show, it happened. They announced that Kamala Harris would be taking days off from the campaign trail. Check this out. James Carville, this morning, veteran Democrat strategist James Carville, telling the campaign advisors, high-level donors, behind the scenes, that Kamala Harris is headed to a historic blowout. She will lose every swing state, and probably New Hampshire and Virginia too. Oh my. James Carville, the architect of the Bill Clinton victories in 92 and 94, 96. So I'll tell you what, man, we have some pretty exciting things ahead for us. President Trump is winning the popular vote. That gives President Trump what would be the greatest Republican victory in your or my lifetime in an election. Well, I'm not sure about your lifetime, but I was born in 1986. Those were the very end of the Reagan years. So in my lifetime, the greatest Republican victory. That's what we are about to see in nigh on 6 days. Battleground states, let's go. Real Clear Politics. Donald Trump leading by a point in the spread, leading in every single battleground state, every single one. But look at this. This is what's wild. Look at the collapse. Scroll down, please, Killer Claim. Look at that. Look at the directionality. If Kamala, can you zoom? If Kamala was a stock, would you be buying that right now? Does that look healthy? Which stock would you like to buy, the red or the blue? Which stock do you want to buy? Look at the inertia. Look at the momentum there. Here's the map, ladies and gentlemen. No toss-ups. Where do we go? No toss-ups. This is the active map, 312. Rich Barris was on our program, made a lot of news yesterday. A lot of news. He's on our program saying that 312 they've run hundreds of thousands of election algorithms, and 312 is the most likely number for President Trump. 312 is a number that gives us a Trump victory at like 9 p.m. on election night. Not trying to get too ahead of myself here, but this is looking good. And then Rich Barris is on here saying exactly what James Carville said. That Kamala Harris may be heading towards losses in places like New Mexico, Barris says, or Minnesota. That Minnesota votes right of Virginia, North Carolina, and New Hampshire. And so this is a potential outcome, but we still have to vote. We still have to vote. People are voting with their cash, voting with their money, poly market. this morning. Trump at 66%. Kamala at 33%. There you go. Wow. I mean, this is devastating. Only 2% more for President Trump to hit the prophecy of having 69% by Election Day. If Donald Trump heads into Election Day at 69%, it's a lock. It's a lock. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, we await President Trump at Mar-a-Lago. We'll show you sort of the shot here as people have their cameras and trained on the door. President Trump is in the middle of winning an election, has had a just rip-roaring schedule. We were at the Madison Square Garden rally. We sat in, it wouldn't be the right way to say this, the president's box, I guess, right up on the stage, effectively. Do we have that clip? Yeah. So we sat up in the in the president's box and had a great time. And I've never seen anything like it. I mean, I tell you this. This is a spiritual moment. There was no other way to describe it. And I don't want to get too gushy here. Okay, this is not really a program for waterworks. I don't really cry. I don't really cry over anything. I cried. When was the last time I cried? The birth of my children. Both my children. I think men have a full and total man pass to cry at the birth of their children. Up. Okay, hey, ladies and gentlemen. Speaking of moments that are emotional,
please welcome the next president of the United
here
States.
He is. We are live.
President Donald J. Trump.
There we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So President Trump heading up to the dais here at Mar-a-Lago. And President Trump is greeting an individual who I don't recognize. Let's see if we know any of the people on stage. Alex, help me out here. I'm not certain. Trump will fix it. President Trump has been doing looks like he's about to speak. President Trump has been doing. Here we go. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We'll find out shortly.
Thank you. Such great spirit. I want to start by saying it's going very well. There's some. Thank you. Such great spirit. I want to start by saying it's going very well. There are some bad spots in Pennsylvania where some serious things have been caught or in the process of being caught, but the election itself is going very well. We're leading, I believe, in all 7 swing states. So I appreciate everybody's work, and the spirit is unbelievable. I don't think there's ever been anything like it in our country's history, frankly, because we want to see our country get better. And that's why we're here, just to do a statement. And it's an honor to have some of our friends here. In less than 4 years, Kamala Harris has obliterated our borders, obliterated. We've never had a situation like this. Decimated the middle class, and runaway inflation has caused problems, the likes of which we never thought possible. Bloodshed, squalor to our cities is common, and they've unleashed a war and chaos all over the world. You take a look, everything's blowing up or getting ready to blow up. No respect for our country anymore, no respect for our leadership. No person has caused so much destruction and death at home and abroad should ever be allowed to be the president of the United States. You can't have that. Can't have that. So I'm running on a plan to save America. We're going to save America. We have no choice. It's the greatest there is. We love it, and we're going to save it. We have no choice. And it's going to be saving it from the incredible destruction that's been caused by crooked Joe Biden and Kamala. And she's responsible because he wasn't responsible, and she never said that. He didn't know too much about what was happening. Maybe that was exposed during the debate. And yet still the way they took that away from him was not right. It wasn't right. Shouldn't have happened that way. They walked in, they said, we're taking it away. They stole the presidency of the United States. You can call it a coup, you can call it whatever, but they stole it. They went in like taking candy from a baby, and can't have that. And she's running on a campaign of demoralization and really a campaign of destruction. But really, perhaps more than anything else, it's a campaign of hate, a campaign of absolute hate. And, you know, I said yesterday that she's a vessel. She is a vessel. It's a very big, powerful party with smart people. Have to be smart. But it's vicious. They're vicious, and they're perhaps even trying to destroy our country. Because who would want open borders where millions of people can flow in from prisons and from gangs, the worst gang members anywhere in the world? Who would want this for our country? Who would want all of these transgender operations all over the place, like at will? Even if you're in detention, I want a transgender. These are things she stood for. Who wants to defund the police? She's wanted her whole career to defund the police. She only changed recently. She changed on 15 different items. Fracking. She was against fracking at the highest level. Wouldn't even think about it. Now all of a sudden, oh, I'd like fracking very much. But they change after the election in about 2 minutes, and I think Pennsylvania understands that. After 2 assassination attempts in just over 3 months, her lies and her slanders are very shameful and really inexcusable. And I can say that if I were president and somebody was being threatened, openly threatened like they've threatened me, I would say, if you do that, even if this was an opponent who I disliked, if you do that, we will obliterate your entire country, and it would all stop. But they wouldn't make that statement. They won't make that statement. And essentially, that statement has been made by other presidents, even concerning their opponents, as you know. Today, we're going to talk about the real character of Kamala, and a person who has no remorse for the anguish she's inflicted upon families all across America. On the contrary, I have to tell you, Kamala intends to conflict and keep this misery going, and she's going to keep it going as long as she can, because that's the only way she can get elected. She's going out and only criticizing, talking about Hitler and Nazi, and because her record's horrible. Her borders are the worst in the history of the world. There's never been a border in the world like this. I always say in third world countries, banana republics, they'd fight them away with sticks and stones if they had to. We let them come in, come on in. Knowing in many cases they're murderers, they're drug lords, they're traitors in so many ways to our country. If they were involved in our country at all, even that, they're coming back in. People that left because they were traitors are coming back in. Everybody's coming back in. And it's at a level that we've never seen before. Criminals off the streets. And you know, other countries from where they're coming are now setting records, good records for them, where crime is down 70 and 75% because they're taking the criminals off the street. They're emptying their jails into our country. And they're not finished yet. I'm amazed. I thought they would have done it by now, but if you take a look at Venezuela, their crime is way, way, way down. Then you go to Caracas and you wouldn't recognize it. You can actually walk the streets without without being shot or killed or mugged. It's becoming a safe city because they've taken all their criminals, most of them, the rest are coming. They're all coming. They've taken their drug dealers and they've put them into the United States of America. Thank you very much, Kamala. I appreciate it. But she continues and she will continue this misery, and her policies have caused such harm and such pain. And the three great people up here with me are going to just discuss that for a little while about what's happened to them, how their lives have been shattered. I'd like to begin with the story of one mother whose life Kamala has utterly destroyed this life. And we're talking about thousands of people in very similar situations every day under Kamala, open border policies. And if you remember, Joe Biden appointed her as the border czar. She doesn't want to use that term, but let's say we'll just use a different term. She was responsible for the borders, totally responsible. She never made one call to Border Patrol. 2 weeks ago, the Border Patrol endorsed me with the most beautiful endorsement I think I've ever gotten. And in all fairness, they've endorsed me every single year, but they've endorsed me again, and they endorsing me, saying I was the best president we've ever had and the best president by far on the border. They said that, and this is not easy for them to say, they said that she was easily the worst person ever to work with them on the border, most incompetent, the least caring. Think of it, not one call in almost 4 years was made to Border Patrol, like, how are we doing? I used to call all the time. I'd say, how are we doing, fellas? How's it going? Is it going well? And they're great people. Men and women, Border Patrol, great people. They want to do their job. She didn't call them once. She released the two men who murdered this woman's very precious daughter. Everything you need to know about what happened and the character of Kamala Harris, you'll know from just watching this video. We had it done yesterday. It's very quick, very easy to do, but it was very heartbreaking. We showed it in a room full of people, and everybody was crying. Some pretty tough people were crying. Please take a look.
Sunday night, I asked her to not stay up super late because of her coming to work with me in the morning to do her summer school. She said, okay. I told her good night and I love you. I went to bed, not realizing that that was going to be the last time I saw her. We're best friends. Yeah. We're going to shake it again. I woke up to notice she wasn't in her bed. I'm in my heart trying not to lose my mind because I don't know where she is. I finally remembered her phone had a location on, and her phone was pinging just 2 minutes down the road, right behind the skate park. I start driving to the direction the phone was being pinged at, and I see a couple cop cars with lights on. I see yellow tape, and immediately my heart drops and sinks to the bottom of my stomach. My daughter's hands and ankles were both bound. She was strangled to death, left with no pants. And I know in my heart, she fought incredibly hard. She was not going down without a fight.
We begin with two men. We're learning are charged with capital murder tonight, accused of killing a 12-year-old girl.
Police say these men strangled her before dumping her into that creek. Both men were in the country illegally.
Apprehended, then released by Border Patrol less than 3 weeks before Jocelyn's death. The men accused of killing Jocelyn Nungare are affiliated with the gang known for brutal violence.
Kamala Harris was in charge of immigration in our borders. If we had better border policies and not open borders and not these catch and release policies, I truly believe this all could have been prevented. Under her being vice president, of this country, my daughter's life was ripped away from her. She had her entire life ahead of her.
Happy birthday, dear Jocelyn.
My daughter is 6 feet in the ground based off of policies that she allowed to keep. Kamala Harris did have one job, and she not only failed, not me, she failed my daughter. She failed Jocelyn. She was only 12. President Trump reached out, gave me his sincerest condolences as not a former president, but just as a father, someone who cares. I believe Donald Trump needs to be back in office. I can at least know that my next child will be safe in this country.
Thank you very much. So I know we talk about inflation and the economy, but to me, there's nothing more important than the fabric of our country being destroyed by people placed there, violently placed there, as far as I'm concerned, foolishly, stupidly placed there. I think what's happening on the border is the single biggest issue, and I'm seeing it more and more when I speak. I see it more. Inflation's terrible. It's hurting our country. It's just decimating our seniors. That's why I talk about Social Security. No tax for our seniors on Social Security, because they've been decimated by inflation. But what Kamala did to Jocelyn and her family is the most heartless and cold-blooded betrayal imaginable. Thousands of cases just like that, thousands. In throwing open the border, think of it, open borders, they come in from parts unknown. People have no idea who they are, where they're from, anything about them. They know nothing. They just walk into our country. And as soon as I heard they were doing that, I said, well, I know these countries. I know every one of the leaders of all these different countries. They're very smart. They're very sharp. They're very streetwise. I said, I know what they're going to do. They're going to open up their jails and just dump them into the United States. And that's what happened. They opened up their jails. And some of the most ruthless killers in the world are now roaming our fields and our streets all over the United States. I knew that was going to happen. And I would do the same thing if I were running one of those many countries that we're talking about, and not just the 3 or 4 that we constantly mention that are near us, all over South America, all over the Middle East, all over Asia, all over Europe, all over Africa. Tremendous numbers of people are coming out of Africa, and they're coming from all over the world. They're dumping them at our border, pushing them across the line, and say, don't ever come back. If you come back, we're going to kill you. And we're stuck with them. But we're not going to be stuck with them for long. So Kamala violated her oath. She desecrated our laws, and she got innocent girls like Jocelyn tortured and killed. Anyone who knowingly sets loose these monsters into our country has absolutely no right to be running for office, let alone the office of president. No right. So here today is another great person, an American mom, Tammy Nobles. 2 years ago, Tammy's 20-year-old daughter, Kayla Hamilton, who had an autism diagnosis, was found raped, tied up and strangled to death with a telephone cord in her home. Kayla's murderer was an illegal alien, MS-13 gang member, among the most vicious gangs anywhere in the world. I took him out by the thousands, thanks to ICE. We're going to protect ICE. Kamala wanted to defund ICE. We didn't have ICE. We'd never get anybody out. They're tough and they're smart and they love our country. But an MS-13 gang member who was apprehended by Border Patrol, but under the policy of our border czar, Kamala, He was released into the United States to kill. Tammy, please come up and say a few words, please. Thank you. Please.
I just wanted to say that Homeland Security did not do their job. Health and Human Services did not do their job. The Biden-Harris administration did not do their job. If they would have done their job, made that one phone call to El Salvador, my daughter would still be alive today. Kayla was a very beautiful young lady inside and out. She was independent, learning to become independent. She had 2 jobs. She overcame obstacles dealing, with autism and was able to find a job that she loved. She loved animals, especially her cat Oreo, and she cared about the homeless. She loved God and she loved going to church. And her life was just ripped from her 3 days after she celebrated her 20th birthday. Thank you for having me here today.
Thank you, Tammy. And we will not forget Kayla. And she's looking down. She's very proud of Mom. Kamala's cruel and immoral actions on our border are actually disqualifying, in my opinion. She's unfit. She's an unfit person. And she knows this is going on. She never called anybody, including the 13 soldiers that were so needlessly killed in Afghanistan with that horrible moment in time where our country was just lost all respect from the whole world when they saw that. That's one of the reasons that Putin went in. He would have never gone in, ever. He wouldn't have gone in. If I were president, he would have never gone in. I ended his pipeline in Europe, no problem. And what happened? Biden comes in, he proves it right away, but he kills the Keystone Pipeline. Putin never would have come in. And he didn't, by the way, for 4 years. There was never a threat that he was going to do that. But he saw weakness, and I think a lot of it was seen in that horrible period of time. She is also aiding and abetting the cartels, allowing vast quantities of deadly drugs to pour unchecked into our country. And remember this, they now have an app. You call the app and you bring whatever you want, you bring them over, they'll tell you exactly. Can you believe it? They have an app. And they have airplanes, big, beautiful Boeing airplanes flying back and forth over our border. They were saying, where are those planes coming from? Where are they going? They were loaded up with migrants. They're dropping them out in the Midwest. They're dropping them all over the place. And I will tell you, if you look at Aurora in Colorado or in Springfield in Ohio, they dropped 32,000 illegal aliens. They tried to give them legal terminology, but it's not. Illegal aliens, 32,000 into a 50,000 person town, beautiful town, no problems. And now they don't know what to do. And they want to be nice, and the mayor wants to be nice. His big thing is to get interpreters because they don't speak English. It's very hard to get interpreters. And he's trying to get interpreters. But in the meantime, they're taking up the hospital. So when people from Springfield would routinely be able to check with a doctor, go to a hospital, they're unable to get in, they're packed. The whole town has changed. And this is happening all over our country. Aurora probably is an even worse situation because you have the meanest, worst gang from Venezuela in the world, probably, maybe as bad or worse than MS-13. And they've literally taken over the town. They've taken over large sections of the town. They've gone into the real estate business. They've taken over apartment complex. They took over a number of complexes where the people are paying them rent. They've become the landlord. Isn't that nice? And they're rough, tough people, and they have the latest weapons. They have military quality weapons, and everyone's saying, where did they get them? We got to get them out of here. We're going to get them out fast. We're going to get them out fast. So today, I'm announcing that for the first time under my administration, we will be seizing the assets of the criminal gangs and drug cartels. And we will use those assets to create a compensation fund to provide restitution for the victims of migrant crime, and the government will help in the restoration. The government will help in the restitution. But something has to be done, and we're gonna get it done. Kamala has also caused untold misery through her destruction of our economy. Our economy is not, this is just, it's like a fake economy. Some of the best people on Wall Street are saying the economy is only good because they think, I don't want to say this because other people have said it. That's not me saying it, but they think Trump is going to get elected. That's the only reason our economy is good. That's the only reason the stock market is up. Scott is here, I think, someplace, and he's one of the most respected people on Wall Street. He's actually made a very big point of it, that the stock market is only doing well because of the fact that they think Trump is going to win the election. So we'll see. But Kamala cast the deciding votes that caused the worst inflation in our lifetime, maybe the worst inflation we've ever had, because I don't think I know for a fact they're not adding all of the numbers. If they did, I think it's the worst inflation probably in the lifetime of the country. And it's costing typical American families over $30,000. Nearly half of Americans now say they're broke. Think of that. Half of Americans are saying they're broke. They have no money. 2/3 say they're living from paycheck to paycheck, and that's a record. We've never had that. To that extent, we've never, ever had that. Millions of Americans are lying awake at night, worried about how they'll pay their bills because Kamala wrecked their family finances, and she's done that. She's done nothing good. They have done nothing good. And I speak of Kamala, but it's partially Joe, but Joe's out of it. Joe's sort of out of it. She's been out of it for a long time. Now she wants to raise taxes for the typical family by $3,000 a year. She's got no empathy for the hardworking Americans whose dreams she's killed, and said recently that there is not one thing that she would do differently from Biden. That's only because she choked. I'm sure she could have come up with a couple of things if she really thought about it, because there's been so much destruction caused by the Biden administration. One of the things that people don't talk about, and the news never talks about, they don't talk about, as an example, Afghanistan, but this is something that's incredible, because when you think of the numbers, 325,000 children are missing, dead, sex slaves, or slaves. 325,000 children who came in through the open border are now missing. Many of them are dead, and nobody talks about it. I said, this must be a mistake. This can't be possible. When I read it, I said, this can't be. You're talking about take your largest stadium and fill it up many times. That's what the kind of numbers are. Here today is Michael Copy, a small business owner who runs a dry cleaner and is struggling to get by because of what Kamala has done to his business. They've destroyed small businesses in this country. Michael, please.
The opportunity and the high honor of joining you here today and sharing my small business story with you folks and the American people. So it's a chain of eco-friendly dry cleaners throughout the Tri-County here in West Palm. And it seems not too long ago, just a few years, the customer and us, the small business owner, we were able to keep up with inflation. There were resources available to us for expansion, or if you had a bad month, if there was something you needed to make up for it, seemed like the support was there. And now, just a few short years later, it seems like all of those resources have dried up. The support's no longer there. We had an expansion plan about 6 years ago that we had to pause because we have to wait for our customers now to catch up with the inflation, the supply chain issues still, because we as a small business, we can't double our price points, although the cost of doing business now is 2, 3, or 4 times what it was just a few years ago. So we've had to get creative. Our industry, probably 30% in the dry cleaning industry, never survived COVID. And just recently this summer, I was contacted, my wife and I, by another local dry cleaner here in West Palm. They were asking advice. So husband and wife been there for about 35 years. Their lease was up and the landlord was doubling their rent, which would have meant that that's what they've been paying themselves for probably the better part of 20 years. So they had to make a decision. Do they hand the keys back or do we get creative, work together, pool resources? And so what we did was we figured out the right price point for them, but we did their cleaning for them, at least until we figured it out. And so they were not able to pay their operations. They couldn't keep that going, but they were able to save their business by strategically partnering. And by the end of summer, I think I was contacted by about 12 other local dry cleaners saying, can you guys help us also, because we're going through the same thing. Thank you. And it seems now, so the delta between the reality of what inflation is right now and we have in front of us, the reality of that and the small business owners' capabilities, that delta is too great. So unless we affect change immediately, I fear that in the next few years, if we don't see that change, we might see another 30% of our industry and others no longer exist. So I just want to say thank you again, Mr. President, for allowing me to share my Go Green Dry Cleaner story. And thank you.
Thank you very much. We really helped a lot of people during the prime time of the China virus. And we helped a lot of people and we did it intelligently. Then when they took over, they just threw money around like it was dirt. And as you know, the recent monster hurricane, Helene, just wiped out so much. If you look at the different states, North Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, South Carolina, Florida, Tennessee, it was just devastating. And the response was the worst since Katrina, but really a lot of people think it was much worse than Katrina. It's still, they haven't shown up. They're not in North Carolina. The people of North Carolina have suffered incredibly, and there's just nobody to help them. FEMA has been a total disaster. We had FEMA that was fantastic when we did this, because we had our hurricanes too. We had some bad ones, but we did a great job with it. It's not there. And then you see that they, originally blamed, and then they tried to take it back, but it was a little late. But they said that the money was spent on bringing illegal migrants into our country. They spent close to $1 billion, and these were funds that were spent. And you have to say, I was in North Carolina recently, and I looked at devastation that was just, unbelievable. There was nobody there from the federal government. The local people have done incredible things. Franklin Graham has done incredible things. He's been amazing, but there was nobody there. So we're pleased also to be joined by Christy Shamblin, person I know and I've gotten to know over the last year or so, the mother-in-law of fallen Marine Corps Sergeant Nicole G. Nicole made the ultimate sacrifice during the disastrous withdrawal. Not that we were withdrawing. I was going to withdraw, but we were withdrawing with dignity and strength and power, and we were going to keep Bagram, the big air base, because of the fact that it was so close to where China makes their nuclear weapons, 1 hour away. We should have kept it, and we didn't do that. But the way they withdrew, they took the soldiers out first. No, you take the soldiers out last. I went 18 months without one soldier. I spoke to Abdul, the leader of the Taliban. We went 18 months without one soldier even being shot at. No soldier being killed for 18 months. And then we left, and you had this group of incompetent people take over. Guys like Milley should have been fired. They should have been fired. Anybody that was involved with that disaster should have been fired. She was one of 13 U.S. service members who lost their lives. Kamala said she was the last person in the room, that Kamala was the last person in the room. She was involved in everything. She takes credit for that. She was involved in everything. That means she was involved in disaster after disaster, because nothing good has happened with this administration, except that our country has gone to almost a third world status. With Biden, when Biden made a decision, she said she was there. Oh, she was there. But the Afghanistan decision was a disaster in so many different ways. And now you take a look at it, they're right back to what they were doing before, except much worse to women. They're worse to women right now than they were even before it started. But Kamala never reached out to the family members of the warriors. And she said she was going to, but she never did. She never called anybody. And Christy, I'd like you to come up and say a few words, please.
Hi, good afternoon, good morning. My name is Christy Shamblin, and my daughter-in-law was Sergeant Nicole Leanne G. And she was killed in the botched Afghanistan exit at Abbey Gate. She was the cornerstone of a very large family. And instead of planning family gatherings and holiday meals and Christmases and baby showers, our family and thousands of other families plan outings at funeral grave sites. And that is where we as a family celebrate my daughter-in-law at Arlington National Cemetery, because she is in the ground. Her story isn't unique to our family, she's just ours. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of wounded veterans who came home from that war, who need our help and who are ignored by our current administration. President Trump demonstrates peace through strength. I know what he told the Taliban when he was negotiating with them, because I've made it my business to know. And what he said to them when he was negotiating with the Taliban, he said, "I will kill you if you harm one hair on one head of an American." President Trump shows up, he reaches out, and he can fix our country, and we can all heal together.
Thank you very much. It's so sad. So many cases like this. Nobody should have died. First of all, when they left, the soldiers should have been there. They shouldn't have been home watching, except for a small group, and many of them got killed, and large numbers. Nobody ever mentions the arms, the legs missing, gone, the face just obliterated. Nobody talks about them. I talk about them all the time. But I want to thank you, Christy, and we'll carry Nicole's memory in our hearts forever. The full consequences of Kamala's 4-year reign are almost too terrible to discuss or contemplate. We're coming to the end of a great campaign. I think we've had a great campaign. We've really not been provided the kind of protection that I needed as president, but I said we have to do it anyway. When Secret Service would ask for additional people, oftentimes we would be turned down. They were constantly asking for additional people. And I found Secret Service to be very brave. When I was hit and went down, they were right on top of me within seconds. I tell you what, those bullets were flying right over my head. I heard them. And these guys were right. I don't know how they didn't get hit, actually, but they were right there. You take a look at the video. One thing we would say, the video is there for people to see, but they were never given the kind of help that they requested, because our rallies were massively large and they needed more people, and they were always fighting for more people, and it was never given to them. Now they're being given, I hope, what they need, but that was a constant fight. They'd come to me and they'd say, you guys don't want to give us the people. And yet Biden was covered, and they'd have like 2 people show up. But Kamala is grossly incompetent, a total train wreck who has destroyed everything in her path. She's destroyed everything. She left 21 million aliens pour across our country, and then she, maybe in a short while, has to go home, and she'll get herself a job someplace, who knows. But think about it, and she can look at the carnage, and she can look at all the people that have been killed. And you haven't seen anything yet, because they've just started. They're just getting comfortable in our country. These are very tough people. These criminals make our criminals look like nice people. And she let the more than 13,000 convicted illegal aliens, nobody would have let these people into our country. And remember, they came out of the worst prisons in the world, the meanest, nastiest prisons in the world. And when she says that she wouldn't do anything different, does that mean that she would have let 325,000 migrant children probably die, most of them, many of them? But at a minimum, they're slaves or they're sex slaves, and they're all over the country. Does that mean that she wouldn't have changed that? Does that mean that she wouldn't have changed so many of the other things that led to so much death and destruction and even financial destruction of our country itself? We could end up in a depression because of what she's left with us. They are the worst combination president, vice president in the history of our country. And I often say Jimmy Carter's a happy man because his administration, by comparison, was totally brilliant. It was brilliant. After Kamala endorsed defunding the police, she bailed out rioters, looters, and murderers, took them right out of jail during the violent crimes in the United States. Remember, that was in Minnesota. Minneapolis was burning down. It was burning to the ground. I watched the CNN announcer say, this is a friendly group of people. And over his shoulder, the entire skyline was burning. I've never seen it, but that's the fake news. But violent crime in the United States is up 37%. All of these different crimes are up anywhere from 37 to 105% over a very short period of time. And it's almost like nobody even cares about it. Very simply, Kamala Harris is not fit to be your president. We can't have it happen. We can't have it happen. We're going to make this country strong again. We're going to make it great again. We're going to be respected again. Her message has been a message of hate and division. And my message is about saving our economy, securing our border, bringing together the greatest and broadest coalition in American history. There's never been a coalition like this. Everybody's included. And on issue after issue, she broke it. They broke it together. But for purposes of this election, she broke it. Can't let her go. And I'm going to fix it, and I'm going to fix it very fast. And on the illegal, thank you very much. Thank you very much. On the illegal immigrants that will be taken out of the country, as you know, we're going to be taking them out. And if they come back, we have laws that will be immediately enacted where they serve 10 years in prison. They won't come back. And if that's not long enough, we'll have to do something else. But we don't want them back. They're not going to come back. And as you know, we're asking for the death penalty for any migrant who comes into our country and kills an American citizen or a police or law enforcement person. Because we have to protect our police. Our police are under siege also at numbers that nobody thought were possible, the worst they've ever seen. It's very hard to recruit. And really for not just the danger, it's hard to recruit because they don't have the spirit anymore for our country because they're being led with people that are spiritless. They really are spiritless. They can't instill spirit. But so that's any citizen, they get killed, it's the death penalty, and that includes police or law enforcement officers. But we're going to revive our economy. We're going to use a system of very fair, very reasonable tariffs. As I said, so powerful. We've never used them. I used them. China paid us hundreds of billions of dollars, and no other president's gotten 10 cents from China. China had a free ride, but so did many other countries. European Union is taking advantage of us. They don't take our product, and yet we take their product all over the place. We take their farming product. We take their cars left and right? BMW, Mercedes-Benz, Volkswagen, millions and millions. They don't take our cars. I said to Angela Merkel at the time, Angela, how many Chevrolets do we have in Berlin? Why? I don't believe you have any. I said, you're right about that, Angela. Well, we're going to change it. But they don't take our product. We have a deficit with them of over $300 billion. Think of that. And people think of them as friendly, but they're very tough and very fair. I mean, look, they united in order to take advantage of the United States. That's why they united. That's why they formed their coalition. And that was done to take advantage of the United States. So we know how to take advantage of them. We're going to take it back. We're going to take it all back. Those countries, many of those companies will be coming back. They'll be coming back because when they're told that they're going to have to pay a 25% tariff or 50% or 100%, we saved our steel industry when I imposed large tariffs on China steel coming in. They were dumping steel here by millions and millions and millions of yards of steel like nobody's ever seen. Our steel businesses were going out of business. We can't lose our steel industry. If for no other reason, our own security. We need steel. If we'd go to war, we're not going to go to war. We're not going to have World War III. But if we ever go to war, you better hope that we have a steel industry, or those beautiful tanks and everything else that we need to make won't be made. The planes, the tanks, the whole thing. And I saved it by imposing tariffs. They were dumping it. I think they were dumping it in order to destroy every steel plant would have been closed if I didn't do what I did. And we happen to be taking in, billions of dollars. In fact, it's so good that Biden has been trying his best to end it, but he's unable to do it. Too much money. It's been too much money. They're paying a fortune. But I would have had it a lot different. And we'll get along with China. We'll get along with Russia. We'll get along with everybody. We had the fake Russia hoax, which took 2 years. And then they came out with a report that we did absolutely nothing wrong. That was a stacked deck, too. The people doing it, they couldn't say there was nothing. We had nothing. They checked millions of phone calls, not one call made to Russia, not one call. It was a terrible thing they did to the country and actually put us in a lot of danger, to be honest with you. If I didn't have somewhat of a relationship with Russia and Putin and all, we had to have it. And by the way, getting along with President Xi and Putin and Kim Jong-un of North Korea. If you remember when I met with Obama, his wife was very nasty to me the other day. That was not nice. She was very nasty. She said nasty things. I was always very respectful of her, but she got up there, which shows you how nervous they are about what's happening. But she was nasty 2 days ago. She got up and said some bad things she shouldn't have said. They were wrong, too. But we're going to turn our country around, and we're going to pay a lot of respect to the three representatives, because that's what they are. They're representatives of millions of people. I mean, so many businesses are just dying right now. There are millions and millions of people. They're representative of, and our wounded and our hurt soldiers. We have to take care of them. They came back from Afghanistan. Boy, nobody talks about them. They just don't talk about them. But I talk about them, and we're going to take care of them. We had the greatest success with the VA, the Veterans Administration. We had a 92% approval rating. We got it so they had choice, because they were waiting 4 or 5, 6. They were waiting 4 or 5, 6 months, 7 months to see a doctor. And I came in and I got, with the help of some of the great Congress people that are here, we have some great ones. Thank you very much. Thank you. We've got quite a few of them. And I didn't even tell them to be here. They want to be here because they know exactly. Oh, yes, very good. We have one of the greats. But they wanted to be here. A lot of people wanted. I didn't tell anybody to be here, actually. But they wanted to be. But we have to take care of our military. Think of this. Soldiers are waiting 6 months to see a doctor. Can you imagine yourself? You don't feel good. You could be cured with a pill or with a shot or with something very minor, like a minor operation. And after 6 months, you're now terminally ill. So I made it. And they've been trying to do this for 48 years. I made it. We call it choice, like school choice, which is also a very good thing, by the way. But we call it choice, where you have your choice. You go to a doctor. If you have to wait more than one day, you go outside, you get a doctor, you get yourself fixed up, and we pay the bill. And it's been unbelievable. I heard just the other day for the first time that Kamala and Biden are trying to destroy that. They're trying to make it so that you have to wait for 6 months again, back to where it was. We had a 92% approval rating, and now if they go back to that, you were going to have. I did another thing you weren't able to get because of civil service. You weren't able to get fire people. If somebody was a degenerate, if somebody was terrible, if they treated our heroes badly, we want them fired. We want them fired immediately. But we were unable to get them fired because they were protected by unions and by civil service. And I had it passed in Congress, which people have also been trying to get. And we were able to fire 9,000 people out of the VA and replace them with people that love our heroes, as opposed to sadists. We had sadists. We had sick people. We had sadists in there that really harmed our great people, our great veterans, and we were able to get rid of them. We got them out, and we replaced them with people that can love and take care of these wonderful people that served us so well. So we did good. We had a 92% approval rating. They've been in the 40s and the 30s, and now it's heading back in that direction, I'm afraid. I hear they want to dismantle everything. And it's almost like you'd say, why? Why would they do that? Why would they do that? And yet they'll spend, you can't say money because they give away hundreds of billions of dollars to anybody that needs it, but they won't take care of our veterans. They won't take care of our people. They won't take care of our soldiers. They won't take care of our elderly. They won't take care of anybody, but they give every time certain people come to town, they walk away with $100 billion for countries that many people have never even heard of. So I just want to tell you, this is a campaign that's been long and hard. I've been on the road or campaigning for 58 straight days. I haven't taken a day off. I'm proud of that. And I won't be taking one off. We have 7 days to go. You can be sure I won't be. And do many, many things every year. And I just want to end by, I've watched their commercials, and they're really fraudulent. They'll say, he doesn't want to frack. I've wanted to frack always. They'll say, everything exactly the opposite. Oh, I want to destroy Social Security. No, they're going to destroy. I'm the one that saved it. And for 4 years, we made it even better. I'm the one, and I didn't raise ages. I didn't do the things that they're going to do because they're allowing millions of these people to go onto Social Security, Medicare. They're going to destroy it. She's going to destroy the whole country because it's not sustainable by any country. But the ads and the statements that they make are exactly the opposite. They will say, oh, I'm going to raise taxes. He is going to raise taxes. Just the opposite. I'm going to lower taxes, and I have done that, but I'm going to lower taxes, and she's raising taxes by 30, 40, and 50%. But they'll have a commercial. And I just say this to you because I hope people understand. These people lie. They lie. They're very disingenuous. And we are going to finish up our campaign. And it's interesting because I haven't taken any time off for a long time. I tell you who can tell you about that, all the people that follow us, including the people in the campaign, but including Secret Service, who has been working very, very hard. I will tell you, they've really been working very hard. And yet a couple of days ago, she took off, and then she took off again and again and again. I said, how many times? You're running for president of the United States. You had, like, at that time, about 20 days left. How the hell do you take off, right? You got to work. You got to work. So she says her teleprompter broke. Yeah, well, she better hope it doesn't. They break. And if you don't know how to do it without a teleprompter, you've got a problem. And she doesn't know how to do it without a teleprompter. So I just wish they'd stop lying, because the lies are vicious, and probably some people believe them. But the good news is 7 states, Republicans never lead in the early voting because for whatever reason, it's habit or it's a certain security they feel in going to the booth. They believe in principle. But we never lead in. I don't know if we've ever led in early. Every single state we're leading in. Every single state. And in early. And we don't need all of them, but at it early. And some states are in play that nobody thought would ever be in play. But I think people are seeing, because again, we're the party of common sense. We're the party of common sense. And we want to have strong borders. We want to have great elections. We want to have fairness. We don't do things like, we're not going to have men playing in women's sports. I mean, that's okay. So we're the party of common sense, and we're the party of fairness, and we have a coalition. Nobody's ever seen anything like, I don't think anybody has ever seen anything like what happened the other night at Madison Square Garden. The love in that room. It was breathtaking, and you could have filled it many, many times with the people that were unable to get in. But politicians that have been doing this for a long time, 30 and 40 years, said there's never been an event so beautiful. It was like a love fest, an absolute love fest, and it was my honor to be involved. And hopefully, they started to say, well, in 1939, the Nazis used Madison Square Garden. Well, and you know what? But can you imagine it? 1939, the Nazi, they would. But how terrible to say, right? Because, they've used Madison Square Garden many times. Many people have used it, but nobody's ever had a crowd like that. And I tell you what, right now, nobody's ever had love like that. That was love in the room, and it was love for our country. It was really love for our country. So we're going to fight like hell for the next 7 days, and then hopefully... And then hopefully, and most importantly, we're going to be fighting even harder for the next 4 years, because we're going to turn this around and we're going to make this country greater than it has ever been. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. President Trump speaking while multiple massive news stories break. We are in that game time right now. We are in that zone. Donald Trump making the declarative statement that he is the Robin Hood of our era. He is the Robin Hood of 2024 American politics. What do I mean by that? Donald Trump has said that he is going to steal from the cartels to give to the victims of their murderous criminality. This is the major takeaway from that powerful press conference. Donald Trump saying that he will take everything from the cartels, and these cartels are worth billions. He will loot them. He will rob them. They will all go down in flames. That he will use the federal government to take that money that was probably paid to the cartels by the Biden-Harris regime, no doubt. The Biden-Harris regime pays cartels by having an open southern border. The Biden-Harris regime facilitates billions of dollars of human smuggling and trafficking. Donald Trump has said that he will take the money from the cartels and will give it to the families and the victims that have been terrorized, murdered, killed, and worse. Ladies and gentlemen, a powerful moment in American history, something that will win, obviously, with the American voter, something that is going to be a spectacular thing to watch in nigh on 6 days when we march to victory. No cockiness, no touchdown dances, no looking back at the cameras because we think we've won the race. Now it's time to be 5 points down, and it's time to fight like we are 5 points down. This is an incredible moment from President Trump at this press conference. Of course, it was heart-wrecking to see these various mothers and victims of Kamala Harris's everything from her inflation and her collapsing economy to the withdrawal of Afghanistan to migrant crime, all sort of bundled together as Kamala collapses. Here, ladies and gentlemen, is the takeaway most viral clip from that press conference that lasted nearly 1 hour of Donald Trump saying, I am team never quit. I'm team never sleep. I've been campaigning for months straight, and we're going to win this thing. We're going to outwork them. And we have some breaking news that proves it. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Donald Trump declaring that he will be the Robin Hood of our era, stealing from the cartels and giving to the families that they have tortured and destroyed.
So today, I'm announcing that for the first time under my administration, we will be seizing the assets of the criminal gangs and drug cartels. And we will use those assets to create a compensation fund to provide restitution for the victims of migrant crime, and the government will help in the restoration. The government will help in the restitution.
Absolutely spectacular. Now, while that, of course, is going to strike fear and horror into the hearts of all the gangsters and criminals who have been marauding through this nation, pillaging, raping, and murdering at the expense of the American taxpayer and at the privilege, recommendation, and welcoming of the Biden-Harris regime. These people hate you. How many more times do you need to have that proven and demonstrated for you? They do not like you, and they want bad things for you. The prerequisite for leading this nation should be that you love the people who live in it. They do not love this place, and they do not love you. President Trump loves you, and he's here to protect you. And this is something that's going to, obviously, a movement of America First means we will put Americans first. Pretty remarkable that there's actual consequences to this, not putting Americans first, and Americans are starting to decide that maybe it's time that we elect a leader that protects this nation. The collapse, ladies and gentlemen, is here. Now, we've been talking about the Kamala collapse for quite a while. We've been bringing on pollsters to show you all the hard data. But let me tell you, there's nothing harder from a data perspective in politics than where you spend money. The old adage goes, show me somebody's credit card bill and I'll show you what they care about in life. If you were to look at my credit card bill, you'd obviously find that I care about this company, I care about supporting our staff, and I care about my children. That's where my heart is, in my family, and in speaking truth and protecting and defending them, you, your children, and this movement. If you look at Kamala Harris's checkbook, you'll find unlimited billions to Ukraine, to Israel, to criminal aliens that have come into this country. And now you'll find something else very, very special that Kamala's given up. Oh yeah, baby. This broke while Donald Trump was live. Here we go. Kamala Harris has given up in North Carolina. This is an all-important swing state that requires, is a requirement for Kamala Harris's victory on Tuesday. And she has now pulled millions of dollars of advertising and funding and staffing from that state, along with Nevada. Little birdies are beginning to tell me we have employees in Nevada. We are very well sourced in Nevada. Some people who are working and running the Nevada Republican Party and the turnout efforts there have been nonstop texting us about the numbers. The early vote numbers are catastrophic for Kamala Harris in Nevada. Republicans are up by 40,000 votes in Nevada. Kamala Harris has withdrawn money now, surrendering effectively North Carolina and Nevada, although this hasn't been printed yet. So watch for that news cycle, as we are often ahead of the news cycle on this program. Why do you think they want to cancel us? Yeah, it's pretty obvious. Kamala Harris, ladies and gentlemen, is beginning to narrow severely her potential chance to win this election by not only giving up in what is considered a swing state, as many people said, North Carolina is not a swing state, as Rich Bear said yesterday, but by moving those and allocating those resources to Virginia. This is how bad things have gotten. Kamala Harris is allegedly reallocating the resources to the state of Virginia, saying that you may well see President Trump not just run the table with the swing states, the 7 swing states, but start picking off Democrat states that have been consistently voting Democrat for decades. Virginia, New Mexico, Minnesota, North Carolina. Oh yeah, baby. Check this out. Miami-Dade early voting. Republicans are making history. You remember Miami-Dade in Florida, here in this state. This is, of course, the liberal county around Miami and the greater overall Miami area. These are neighborhoods that are Haitian and Cuban, Honduran. There's an entire little Argentina, right? That's there in Miami. Miami is very much, by definition, a melting pot city. Much like New York, right? So it's a landing spot for so many people who immigrate to this nation. And it's flipped red. Republicans surge ahead in Miami-Dade early voting. The only chance for Democrats is not on election day, but it's in these early votes. These early votes are now turning catastrophic. Here's what the state of North Carolina looks like. Holy smokes, man. In the early vote, the chances in North Carolina is now effectively slipping away entirely. And expect this now to be something that permeates like a cancer the entire Harris campaign. Because as you begin to see the erosion, as you begin to notice the erosion in one swing state, you'll begin to see the contagion to other swing states as the headlines begin to depress and demoralize. Depressing and demoralizing Kamala Harris herself, by the way, who was asked just moments ago on CBS, the race is slipping away from you. Look at Kamala's response. It's perfect. The response of a loser. Watch.
It does suggest that your momentum has slowed. Do you feel like the race is slipping away?
I do not. And actually, and I agree with you. I think certainly polling is a measure, but to be frank, if I'd listened to polls, I would have never run for my first or second office. I wouldn't be here talking with you. And what I am seeing are in states such as North Carolina, Georgia, historic turnout for Trump. You dingbat, Trump. So the race is slipping away from you. So you're losing, says CBS. And Kamala goes, actually, there's historic turnout in North Carolina. Yeah, this is what the historic turnout looks like. Historic turnout for President Trump. And that we're seeing that actually all across. Who will win North Carolina? Prediction in the 70-30 in the betting markets. Oh, man. If only Kamala Harris could hit the road and convince people and drum up her base, because what this is going to do, again, is going to cause a cancerous contagion throughout her campaign as people, and they're already talking to the press, talk about having a losing campaign. It's hard to really describe the palette of a losing campaign, but you know it when you see it. If you were close like the Mitt Romney team, they knew they were going to lose. Like Jimmy Carter in 1980, you knew they was going to lose. It was something that permeates the campaign. It's an attitude. It's a macabre morass, dark cloud that hangs over the campaign. This now is picking up great acceleration with Kamala Harris.
So much so that Kamala Harris is barking during her campaign rallies at her supporters in nonsensical, in totally nonsensical ways that don't make any sense. This is how shook this woman is. And then immediately jumping and clinging to a teleprompter like it was a door of the Titanic as you let Jack slip off into the deep. Here we go. Listen to this. Okay. So it's fake, right? So the audience has been directed to shout the name Kamala in order to try and trick people that they support her. When in fact, they probably just got a Chick-fil-A sandwich or a pack of cigarettes, got shoved onto a bus to go here, got paid. We know there's no shortage of paid activists for Kamala Harris. And we know that based on cell phone tracking, many of these people go to the same rallies. So it's the same person at the same rally in multiple different states. It's an operation. This is why these rallies aren't open to the public. They're closed. It's an operation to create an artificial support for Kamala Harris. And then they're told, like clapping seals, to start chanting Kamala's name because they think it'll look good. But it backfires. Watch this.
Okay, now I want each of you to shout your own name. Do that. Because it's about all of us. It's about all of us. And listen, I have fought my whole career to put the people first.
What? We give plenty of speeches, okay? I like to be particularly high energy in my speeches. I like to interact with the crowd. I believe my thesis on this is that people are done with listening to people just talk at them. People like to interact. We love the chat. That's why the chat's on screen. The chat's rolling. We didn't do comments on screen during this Trump event because there were mothers and widows there and everything like that, and we wanted to maybe take a second, right, and let them speak. But we're regularly putting the comments on screen. We love the chat. Big old out here to you, the chat. Okay, so when you're going to interact with the crowd, you better do something that doesn't silence them and cause them to go awkwardly quiet like this. This looks bad. Unmute.
Shout your own name. Do that.
What? When everybody is cheering for you and then they all just stop and go, "What's wrong with you, lady?"
Because it's about all of us. It's about all of us.
Kamala knows that she just bombed there, and watch her manically cling to and claw, literally take her fingernails and claw into the teleprompter like she was inside of some type of asylum, right? And she has a special bite stick or something that keeps her from going into a seizure. She's literally manically clawing at the words inside of the teleprompter to save her. Watch this.
Listen, I have fought my whole career to put the people first.
You can literally see her eyes run to the look at that. That's the teleprompter eye line right there. She's not looking at the crowd. She's just jumping to the teleprompter. We do the whole show. We've been live for 2 hours and 30 minutes. I don't have a script. We don't have a script. We have some clips that we play. I don't have a script. We have some stories we want to talk about, but we just chat. We talk with you. We tell you what we think. We tell you what the thoughts inside of our brain. Admittedly, we have a room temperature IQ, but at least we use it, and we're happy to say it. We're happy to say we speak, and we tell you what we think. At the very least, there's no lying around here because we actually don't have a script. We actually and when we speak to large events, we just spoke at a massive stadium in Georgia at a Trump rally. We also don't have a script. We don't read off a script. We work with the crowd, work with the audience because we actually do this all day. And we know how to interact with people. We're not bragging. It's what you should, the bare minimum for if you're going to do this profession, you should be able to like interact with human beings. And not be like this creep, like an AI would run for president better. Like one of those Tesla robots like running on like ChatGPT would do a better job than Kamala Harris. It probably wouldn't do this. This is excruciating. You know what also excruciating? The new clip out of ABC News. ABC News just announced that Donald Trump's going to win. ABC News just straight up said, you know what? Donald Trump has enough numbers in the swing states. Now it's Donald Trump's race to lose. Don't get complacent. Go vote. I'm going to go vote after work today in the studio. Go vote. But listen to this at ABC News.
The 7 states that are almost certainly going to determine the presidency, things close as ever, and we're seeing a very slight Trump edge in several of the battleground states. Kamala Harris's numbers have gone down just a little bit.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is super embarrassing. Oh no, Danny, what? Look at this. Kamala rally. Look at the size of this teleprompter. Look at this. Look at the size of the prompter at this Kamala rally. Thank you, Alex Stein, for capturing this. Look at that thing. That is like the door of the Titanic. This is like the door that Rose floated on when the Titanic sank. Look at the size of that thing. Look at that. And this was for Beyonce's mom. Beyonce's mom needed help introducing her daughters. This is the quality of the speakers at these events. And she doesn't know how to say Kamala. Kamala Harris. Look at that. Oh, how excruciating. How embarrassing. How humiliating, in fact. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the moment. ABC News is saying Kamala Harris is losing. Multiple people from the Trump campaign are saying Kamala Harris is losing. Here's Bruzewitz, Rick Grenell, multiple other people now like coming over the top and saying Kamala's pulling out of swing states. Okay. Kamala has given up on North Carolina. Soon to be Nevada. Mark my words. Put a pin in it. Soon to be Nevada. Ooh, baby. What a fascinating and wonderful and exciting time to be alive. President Trump's brand new Latino ad. ALX just confirming we're good to play this. The brand new Latino ad for Donald Trump. Before we toss it up, though, I want to just make sure that we're sound on this. But why not, right? Okay, because I love this. I love the Trump's old school Latino ad. We often dance to it, but this is the new banger, ladies and gentlemen, for your consideration. Here we go.
I will vote for Donald Trump. Oh my God, I will vote. I will vote for Donald Trump. Oh my God, I will vote. I will vote. I will vote for Donald Trump. The people go out to vote, no fear, no more. Vote for Trump. Let's go. Vote for Trump. If you wanna keep America
listen, I'm not one to play loud music out of my car. I'm going to attach a massive speaker to the top of my car and just drive around my neighborhood. I live in a Cuban neighborhood and we're in Tampa. There's a lot of Cubans in Tampa. I'm just going to play that permanent. I'm going to be one of those guys. I'm sorry, for the next 7 days, I'm going to attach a comically large speaker to the top of my car and I'm just going to play that nonstop throughout the night. When I park my car, I'm just going to blare it. And I'm just going to drive around. I'm going to pay like 50 Uber drivers to just attach speakers to their car and go drive through the Hispanic neighborhoods of Tampa and play that song. This is my contribution to our movement, okay? This is what I'm going to do. All right, arrest me. And if I was arrested, I know who would save me. Here we go. Robin Hood Trump. Look at this. We're talking about Donald Trump being the Robin Hood. Steal from the evil and give to the victims. That's right. Look at him go. That's a great Donald Trump. That's a very good Robin Hood Donald Trump. Ladies and gentlemen, we are primed, if we stay praying and faithful, to win. There are some incredible things that are changing in this country. There are some wild stories that are breaking very hard against Kamala Harris. Yesterday, for instance, Tim Walz was exposed for romance with a Communist Party official's daughter while he was in communist China. We've seen this before. You do not want an American government compromised by the communist Chinese. We've seen that with the Bidens. There's a story that we covered yesterday in a video, but broke. There are bad news cycles that are happening across the country for Kamala Harris, including, but not limited to, her deciding to retreat out of swing states and her utter and total collapse on the campaign trail. Kamala Harris has refused to do a Joe Rogan interview. Please toss it up, Klein, please. Kamala Harris has refused to do a Joe Rogan interview. The Joe Rogan, Joe Biden interview, ladies and gentlemen, that may get more views than the Donald Trump one, actually. That would be one of the greatest. That'd be one of the greatest moments in broadcast history. But yeah, Tim Walz is accused of being a dirty communist. This makes a lot of sense because he's literally in bed with a communist by running with Kamala Harris, and now he's accused of being in bed with communists. This is the story that broke yesterday. Kamala Harris is in bed with a spousal abuser, Doug Emhoff, who's a woman beater, and somebody who's banged the nanny, got her pregnant, destroyed his first marriage. These are despicable men. These are despicable times. And these people deserve to lose. And they will lose if we do our jobs. One small thing I wanted to cover before we pop off here, ladies and gentlemen, is this. We spend all this time this morning stripping the bark off of what the New York Times is trying to do to us and running a hit job on us. But there was this amazing moment last night with another paper that I think would be the only conceivable competitor to the New York Times, called the Washington Post. And the Washington Post owner, Jeff Bezos, wrote a op-ed. Is it really an op-ed when you own the paper? Wrote a message to the paper saying, "We failed." This is insane. This is insanity. Put it up. Jeff Bezos, and I want the actual article up. Jeff Bezos has written an article to the Washington Post and the readership saying, "We don't report the truth. And people don't believe that we report the truth. And we are failing in our mission to have a paper." No, I want the actual article. "We are failing in a mission to actually give truth to our readers." This comes after Jeff Bezos banned the paper from endorsing Kamala Harris, saying that no legitimate news outlet should be endorsing presidential candidates. There was mass resignations, and now Jeff Bezos is apparently going to hire conservatives to fill those positions. Jeff Bezos is saying, hey, if we were going to try and report news to the country, we should potentially expect that half the country is going to want to have their voice heard, which is all that we've ever asked for. We've never asked for any leftist to be censored. In fact, the more the left speaks, the more they make our point for us. They are the ones coming with massive cudgels of disinformation and fraudulence from totally and completely discredited outlets to take our programs down. Now, I will tacitly say that I'm, of course, not a fan of Jeff Bezos. I'm not trying to I want to see action put into place, but like these are real actions that he's taking at this paper. You will not endorse Kamala Harris. You will hire more conservatives. You will have people that you intellectually disagree with at our site to appeal, that is supposed to appeal to the American people, and we're about to lose in a landslide. So clearly we're on the wrong side of what the American populace believes. And as they atomize the hard truths, Americans don't trust the news. As they atomize their following and their audiences, the real following comes to us. Our shows and our channels are growing exponentially. Historic low trust in corporate media right now. This business is going to be a fossil. It's suicidal. They're going to go out of business because they have no more readership, because they have lost that trust. And Jeff Bezos putting pen to paper and saying, maybe there's something we can do about that. This is really interesting. Listen to this. Let me give an analogy. This is from Jeff Bezos. Voting machines must meet two requirements. They must count the vote accurately, and people must believe that they count the vote accurately. The second requirement is distinct from and just as important as the first. What an amazing thing to say. And using voting machines, of all things, to make this analogy. Likewise, with newspapers, we must be accurate. We must be believed to be accurate. This is a bitter pill to swallow. But we are failing on the second requirement. Most people believe the media is biased. Anybody who doesn't see this isn't paying scant attention to reality, and those who fight with reality lose. Reality is an undefeated champion. It would be easy to blame others for our long and continued fall in credibility, and therefore decline in impact. But victim mentality will not help. Complaining is not a strategy. We must work harder to control what we can control and increase our credibility. You can see why this guy built some of the most successful and valuable companies on earth. And while he's no Elon Musk, this is a step in the right direction. Jeff Bezos' last post on X, speaking of Elon Musk, was praising Donald Trump for his bravery during the assassination attempt. Is this the redemption arc for Jeff Bezos? Wild. This is an amazing moment in time. Why not? Since it was just posted. Hollywood actor, comedian, director Michael Rappaport just announced that he's voting Trump. What the hell is going on? I just voted, but don't worry about who I voted for. So many people are eagerly waiting in line. So many people who eagerly engaged with my Trump rants over the years haven't said a word about the massacre in Israel. Don't worry about who I voted for. Bring them home. Okay, so Michael Rappaport still hates Donald Trump. Okay. He didn't say he voted for Trump. Okay. Careful about sending this stuff to the chat, guys. But he did say, don't worry about who I voted for. So you'd assume that he would be dancing in the street voting for Kamala Harris. These are the most Trump deranged people on the planet. It's implied here that he didn't vote for Kamala Harris and that he did vote for President Trump. And by the way, he's on the record saying that he's considering voting for Donald Trump. I think there's a clip of that, in fact. So Jeff Bezos, back to the Bezos piece. Jeff Bezos is writing saying that the media have lost all credibility. Some of the biggest Trump derangement freaks that exist today are now openly considering voting for Trump and maybe just posted that they did vote for Trump, implying that they voted for Trump. Kamala Harris is pulling money from swing states, admitting defeat. Ladies and gentlemen, it's hard to really encapsulate this moment, but I can do it very quickly. It's spiritual. I think it's spiritual. I think people watched Donald Trump survive an assassin's bullet. And as Tony Hinchcliffe said the other night in Madison Square Garden, God voted 3 months ago. We vote in 7 days. Or you can vote today if you're in an early voting state, and I deeply encourage you to do that. If we all do that, we can defeat possibly the greatest evil to threaten America in our modern history, which is the disintegrationist evil of pitting race against race, religion against religion, American against American, to try to create a new civil war and to try to rip this country asunder from within, because we are too strong to rip asunder from without. No country would be able to defeat us militarily, but you can defeat us culturally by poisoning our people, by poisoning us against each other, against the foundations of this very nation, against the foundations of God, which of course the precursor of this country. And we can set all that right with a vote. And we can cast back into the darkness that demonic ideology, the anti-truth, is what it is. Steal, kill, and destroy is the nature of Satan. And you have seen the party that wishes to steal and to kill and to destroy. Ladies and gentlemen, God's had our back. And now it's time to go out and do the work. Please go vote. Go vote right away. Go vote today. I will be leaving and voting today, ladies and gentlemen. And our verse of the day will carry me there from Proverbs 3:25. Do not be afraid of sudden terror or the destruction of wicked people when it comes. The Lord will be your confidence. He will keep your foot from getting caught. Ooh, yeah, baby. Careful where you step. They try to catch Donald Trump stepping, man. And look what man intended for evil, God intended for good. The Lord is our confidence. We walk confidently forward. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Become a member. Join the Benny Brigade. Support the work that we're doing here. We ain't done yet, man. We're gonna rock and roll this week. We are not sitting back this week, baby. We're gonna go and we're gonna win. We've been live for 3 hours this morning. I have something very special for you. I have Steve Bannon's welcome back from his program. Something that is the most important broadcast in the world today. Steve Bannon returning from federal prison. We wanted to play it for you in its totality. So here, ladies and gentlemen, it is the great Steve Bannon back, and we'll endeavor to have him on our program live for you this week. This is what it looks like to fight the machine and win. Onward, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to win. Here we go. Here's Steve.
Live from New York, the world's financial capital. You're in the war room. It's Tuesday, the 29th of October in the year of our Lord 2024. We're 6 and a wake up away from one of the most important political days in the history of this country. But I want to make sure everybody understands something. And you see from our great staff here, and I'll talk a little bit about the production team and our co-host and, of course, the War Room Posse, all the great efforts you made so that it was next man up. And it's now my turn, right? It's my turn to be next man up, as you guys have done such a magnificent job over the last 4 months. Understand something, and this has to be very clear. The Democrats and those radicals you just saw on MSNBC and CNN and Joe Scarborough and that entire crowd, right? They had Robert Kagan's wife, who brought this entire debacle on Ukraine on us. They have no intention of giving up power. We have a 3-phase, and this is why it's so important for this audience. You're the backbone of this movement. We have 2 things we're going to talk about today. The get out the vote effort, focused on our first phase, which is November 5th. Then the second is to make sure that they cannot steal the election with Mark Elias and others of these, the nullification project that they're bringing in, which goes from November 5th all the way to Inauguration Day, but January 6th being a key part of that. We'll talk about in a second. The other is the delegitimization process. I have never heard, and I think most people would agree, the rhetoric that's come out about American citizens calling this audience, not just Donald Trump and not the people around Donald Trump, that's bad enough, calling us fascists, but calling you fascists, saying that fantastic, that amazing rally in Madison Square Garden that could never be pulled off by Kamala Harris or the Democrats, with that energy and people from Tulsi Gabbard to Elon Musk, just the broad cross-section you had of American entrepreneurs, Vivek Ramaswamy, you had these powerhouses up there, right? And they're trying to besmirch that with one influencer's kind of throwaway, not funny line. I can tell you, in coming from and being a political prisoner in a federal prison, that the young men in this country that are African American and Hispanic detest Kamala Harris. They detest her. We're going to go into details today and at the press conference of why that's up. But we have a chance to move past race on November 5th. Everything we have fought for so many years is all coming to fruition, and we have to have a convergence. And my fear is that some people, I think, are trying to lean on the shovel and say, look at the polls, these polls, and Trump always under polls, and he does this, so Trump's up 3, 4, 5. Hey, maybe that's the case, but that's theoretical right now. Reality is the electorate we bring on November 5th, and that gets back to you. That gets out to get the vote. Look, Elon Musk is one of the smartest guys in the world, right? If not the smartest practical engineer in the world. Charlie Kirk is incredibly smart. Look where they've put their efforts over the last couple of months. Look where Elon Musk wrote $150 million worth of checks the last couple of months. It is flat out, get out the vote. And that's where this audience comes in. Your efforts have been magnificent. The co-hosts that have done this for 4 hours a day and a couple hours on Saturday, and then plus other streaming we've done with Grace and Mo, the incredible thing of these people stepping up is everything to motivate you to make sure that you get out and vote. You know, Nancy Pelosi sent me to a federal prison. She sent me to a federal prison as a political prisoner to do two things, to make sure that she tried to tamp down the power of this show, right? Tamp down the power of the show, and also to break me. Nancy Pelosi, take out your number 2 pencil and write this down. This show has never been more powerful. The voices behind it have never been more powerful. The audience has never been more powerful. And we're going to deliver a knockout blow to your progressive insanity on 5 November. And then we're going to secure the deal after that. And number 2, the 4 months in federal prison not only didn't break me, it empowered me. I am more energized and more focused than I've ever been in my entire life. And I can see clearly, just like in 2016 and in 2020, exactly what's going on here and what we have to do to defeat it. I want to go back through the 3 phases. Number 1 is 5 November. All that matters right now in places like Pennsylvania and in Michigan and in Wisconsin, Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina, obviously other states, but these 7 battleground states, is to deliver something that takes us to where Ohio and Florida are today. We have to put this beyond their ability to steal it. Because don't think for a second, by hiring Mark Elias and the gang of thugs around him, that they don't look at phase 2. They understand Kamala Harris, it's impossible for her to generate any enthusiasm. Number 1, what she had to do was to focus on one thing and drive the narrative. Her politics of joy was too ill-defined. She didn't do it. So what did they do last week? They pivoted. Tonight falls on America. This is a fascist movement that the people that support it are equivalent to the American Bund, the American-German Bund in the 1930s. That is a bald-faced lie, and it's a dangerous lie. So number 1 on November 5th, we have to crush them at the ballot box. And there's only one way to do that. The commercials aren't going to do it. Only thing is going to do it is you're putting your shoulder to the wheel. The hard work of walking precincts, the hard work of working phone banks, the hard work of texting nonstop. And we have to put in superhuman efforts to support the Elon Musk of the world, to support the Charlie Kirks of the world, to support the other organizations that are out there doing this. Number 2, and we're going to have hopefully Mike Davis and Boris Epstein and Bill McGinley, 3 of the prominent leaders in the legal effort to combat Mark Elias. They are signaling you right now what they're going to do. Every day, with you see, we're going to delay, we can't count the vote for 7 days. We're going to take mail-in ballots 5 days later. Every day after the evening of November 5th is going to be Stalingrad, where Mark Elias is in court, and they're going to do this to slow it down. If they can't take it away from Trump, if they can't nullify it right there, they want to at least delegitimize his victory. Remember, Jamie Raskin is out there dovetailing off of Nancy Pelosi's interview in the Rolling Stone, where she says, I only have one purpose in my life. My purpose is to make sure that Donald Trump is never reelected president of the United States and he never sets foot into the White House again. And Jamie Raskin has been very upfront. If they take the House even by a single vote, 218 to 217, what they will do is sit there and say that Trump is an insurrectionist, that, hey, Bannon and Navarrete went to prison. Trump's been indicted. He's an insurrectionist, and he cannot take the office of the presidency.
Whatever happened to predictability? The milkman, the paperboy, evening TV. How did I get delivered here? Somebody tell me, please. This whole world's confusing me. Kid, don't sell your dreams so soon. Everywhere you look, everywhere there's a heart, there's a heart, a hand to hold on to. Everywhere you look, everywhere you face somebody who needs you. Everywhere you look, when you're lost out there and you're all alone, life is waiting to carry you home. Everywhere you look,
show where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to life. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade, cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny Show's a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light, bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light, bringing liberty to light. From the speeches to the debates, Benny sharp like a blade, cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny Show's a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light.